Chapter 5:15. All right. Meng Rongrong left in confusion. After Meng Rongrong left, Louis looked at Meng Ziqiu. Headmaster, didn't you say that the secret of the Jilu Academy is there? Could the Heavenly Maiden have purposely, for the sake of our Jilu Academy's secret? Louis frowned. Very likely. Meng Ziqiu nodded. Then why did you? Sigh, Louis, did you know? Sima Yuntian envied me for being the headmaster, but I envied him as well. He could travel the world and visit all the academies. Meng Ziqiu smiled bitterly. Louis looked at Meng Ziqiu in confusion. After the Heavenly Bestowal Conference, I'll settle everything. I want to pass the headmaster position to you. Meng Ziqiu smiled. How can that be? Headmaster, it's not time for you to undergo the tribulation yet. Louis exclaimed. It's not that it's not time, but it's still far from it. I want to travel the world and take another step forward, so I can only leave the academy to you. Meng Ziqiu smiled. Louis frowned, but finally nodded. All right. I can also tell you the secret of the 100 Saints' morality altar. Meng Ziqiu said solemnly. Although the Jilu Academy is only a middle-level sect, there have been higher-level sects that have attacked us in history, but all of them returned empty-handed. Do you know why? Meng Ziqiu asked in a low voice. Because the Jilu Academy is popular and supported by all the sects in the world, Louis said. Meng Ziqiu shook his head and smiled. No, that's only one reason. The main reason is the 100 Saints' morality altar. In fact, there's a world inside. There's a world inside? A pocket dimension? Louis was surprised. Yes, a pocket dimension created by a wise man. It contains the true essence of the Jilu Academy. I've only entered it once. Meng Ziqiu took a deep breath. Then why did the Heavenly Maiden stay there? Louis frowned. It doesn't matter. There's someone in that pocket dimension. The Heavenly Maiden can't do much. Meng Ziqiu smiled. Someone? Meng Rongrong left the Great Deer Hall. After returning to his residence, he pondered for a moment. You won't tell me? Then I'll go and take a look myself. Fairy? What kind of person could make Yan Chuan do such a thing? Meng Rongrong did not know why she had such thoughts, but she still got up and flew towards the 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar. 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar. The mountain pass was filled with white fog, and Fairy was the only one inside. The fairy held a glass disc in her hands. The glass disc emitted a faint white light, and there seemed to be small dragons swimming inside. If Yan Chuan were here, he would definitely recognize it. It was the disc under Miao's sky-burying coffin back in the Demon Wind mountain range. Heavenly display board. However, at this moment it was much smaller. The Holy Maiden chanted an incantation. Suddenly, 300 stars in the sky shone brightly, illuminating the entire Jilu city. For a moment, countless cultivators in Jilu city looked at the sky in shock. East Hall. Yan Chuan walked alone in the square. Calculating 10,000 years ago? Yan Chuan frowned as he pondered. 10,000 years? Then she's not Jinro? But why does she look so similar? There must be a reason, there must be. Yan Chuan pondered. As he pondered, Yan Chuan's expression suddenly changed, and he looked up at the sky. In the sky, the natal star, the Emperor's star, shone brightly. Not only the Emperor's star, but nearly 300 other stars also shone brightly. The starlight illuminated the entire Jilu city. It seemed to be very uniform, but as Yan Chuan's natal star, he could instantly analyze where the attraction was. 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar? Yan Chuan looked at the direction of the night sky. Chapter 5:16. The Heavenly Maiden held the heavenly compass in her hand and manipulated the power of the 300 stars. The starlight illuminated Jilu city, and the citizens looked up at the sky in shock. However, the starlight came and went quickly. In the blink of an eye, the stars were no longer dazzling, leaving behind a city of confused people. 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar. Beneath Goddess Zhichen's feet, the heavenly maiden's heavenly compass emitted a dazzling white light. Vaguely, there seemed to be 300 stars revolving within the white light. Boom! The white light suddenly exploded, instantly filling the entire 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar. At the same time, it was as if there were 300 small stars revolving around him. Boom! 300 stars quickly gathered at one point. They gathered about 10 feet below Goddess Zhichen. Boom! 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 After the massive collision, the 300 stars gradually disappeared, and a white door appeared beneath Goddess Zhichen's feet. The door was quite blurry, and it was impossible to see what was inside. It was a door that had appeared out of nowhere. Found it! Fairy exhaled slightly. With a flip of her hand, she put away the heaven-projecting disc and walked in without hesitation. Outside the 100 Saints' Morality Altar, Yan Chuan carried the Jade Emperor sword and ran over alone. Because it was late at night, the square was much quieter. However, there were still some people. In particular, there were 60 figures standing outside the 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar. Lu Zilu. Yan Chuan looked at the neat rows of 60 Confucian scholars in surprise. They were the initiators of the Peak Literary Meet not long ago, the 60 people who had been defeated by Yi Feng. Why were they here? I, Lu Zilu, lead a group of junior brothers to seek an audience with the Heavenly Maiden, Lu Zilu said humbly. However, the 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar was filled with white mist, making it impossible to see what was inside. Furthermore, the Heavenly Maiden inside did not reply. I, Lu Zilu, lead a group of junior brothers to seek an audience with the Heavenly Maiden, Lu Zilu called out respectfully again. However, there was still no reply. Not far away, Yan Chuan saw a few familiar faces. Meng Rongrong and Old Yen were among them. Yan Chuan strode over. What's going on? Didn't they say that the Holy Maiden's subordinates were guarding nearby? Where is he? Meng Rongrong asked. Eldest miss, I don't know either. They suddenly left. Old Yen smiled bitterly. What do you mean by suddenly leaving? Meng Rongrong asked curiously. I don't know. Maybe he went to do something. Old Yen smiled bitterly. They left the Heavenly Maiden alone and ran away? Meng Rongrong asked in surprise. Yes. Old Yen nodded with a bitter smile. At this time, Yan Chuan also walked over. Mr. Yen, why are you here too? Old Yen was puzzled. Mr. Yen? Meng Rongrong turned around and saw Yan Chuan. The moment she saw Yan Chuan, she revealed a shocked expression. Her face turned slightly red, and her heart thumped wildly. Humph! Meng Rongrong snorted coldly and ignored him. Yan Chuan looked at Meng Rongrong and smiled. He did not say anything. Instead, he asked Old Yen, Is the Holy Maiden still in the 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar? Of course. She's the only one who hasn't come out. Old Yen nodded. When Meng Rongrong heard that Yan Chuan came in the middle of the night and asked about the Holy Maiden, she immediately felt irritated and walked away from Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan did not seem to notice Meng Rongrong's abnormality. Instead, he pointed at 60 great scholars and asked, What's going on with this group of people? Them? I don't know. Maybe they're looking for the Holy Maiden for fortune-telling. Old Yen smiled. Yan Chuan looked at Lu Zilu and the others strangely. Chapter 5:17. I am Lu Zilu, leading a group of junior brothers to seek an audience with the Holy Maiden, Lu Zilu said. However, there was still no sound from inside. Senior brother, let's go in, Chen Ping advised. Yes, we have been here for a while, another scholar said. Lu Zilu thought for a moment and finally nodded. All right, let's go. Lu Zilu led the 60 scholars to the entrance of the 100 Saints' Righteousness Altar. What are they doing? Didn't the dean say that we are not allowed to disturb the Holy Maiden? Old Yan's expression changed. Yan Chuan did not say anything more to Old Yan and chased after them. Meng Rongrong also noticed the abnormality and quickly chased after them. Whoosh! The 60 scholars entered the 100 Saints' righteousness altar. Yan Chuan and Meng Rongrong also entered. Lu Zilu, these bastards! Old Yan's face was filled with anger. Senior brother, what do we do now? A scholar walked out from the god's sealing hall and asked. The dean only said that no one is allowed to disturb the holy maiden and did not ask anyone to look after her. I thought that the holy maiden's subordinates were enough to look after her, but who knew where they went? Lu Zilu actually dared to go against the dean's orders. There is no other choice now, quickly report to the dean. Old Yen said anxiously. Everyone nodded. Yan Chuan, Meng Rongrong and the rest entered the 100 Saints' righteousness altar and immediately saw the 60 scholars standing there. The moment the two of them entered, they immediately attracted the attention of the 60 scholars. Yan Chuan. Chen Ping's eyes flashed with anger. Yan Chuan ignored Chen Ping's jealous gaze and looked through the crowd at the white door below Goddess Shi Chen's feet. The door slowly shrank. Lu Zilu and the rest kept staring at the door. There's actually a spatial door? Teacher was right, the Julu Academy does have secrets. Lu Zilu's eyes flashed with excitement. The holy maiden must have also gone in. Wang Long said. Let's go. If we don't go in, the door will disappear. Lu Zilu said resolutely. With that said, Lu Zilu quickly stepped inside. As soon as Lu Zilu entered, the group of Grand Confucians followed him in. Is this the secret that father doesn't want to tell us? Meng Rongrong asked in surprise. At this moment, Yan Chuan had also caught up. He stepped towards the small door that was only as tall as a person. Although Meng Rongrong wanted to stop them, she couldn't stop them at all. She could only frown and follow them in. The small door became smaller and smaller. Not long after everyone stepped in, the small door had shrunk to nothing. When Meng Ziqiu and Yu Yi arrived, the entire 100 Saints' righteousness altar was empty. That's impossible. I just saw the number 60 great scholar, Yan Chuan, and First Miss come in together. Why are they all gone? Old Yen said in surprise. Meng Ziqiu and Yu Yi looked at each other. Don't forget what you saw just now. Also, inform the great Confucians of the first building of the left courtyard to guard outside. No one is allowed to enter. Meng Ziqiu said in a deep voice. Oh, okay. Old Yen nodded in confusion. Old Yen went out to make arrangements. Meng Ziqiu and Yu Yi looked around again. Dean, you don't know about the entrance to the world of light? Yu Yi asked doubtfully. I know, but I can't open it. Meng Ziqiu smiled bitterly. Oh! Don't worry, that small world is extremely strange. They can't do anything. I just hope they don't disturb him. Sigh, since they've already entered, it seems that it's impossible not to disturb him. Meng Ziqiu smiled bitterly. Yan Chuan and the others stepped into the small world and their eyes lit up. Chapter 518. Everyone found themselves on top of a hill. They were surrounded by mountains and rivers. This world was very strange. It was as if it had been separated from their feet. Half of it was extremely dark, while the other half was abnormally bright. It was as if one side was day and the other side was night. There was no sun or moon here. The white light of day was emitted by the Aoran Chi, while the night was shrouded by countless black miasma. Although the miasma was dense, some of the light still pierced through, allowing those who entered to see clearly. What kind of world is this? It's so strange. A great scholar exclaimed. My magic power? I don't have any magic power? Chen Ping exclaimed. As soon as Chen Ping shouted, the great scholars cast their spells in surprise. However, all of their spells disappeared. Senior brother, how can this be? Chen Ping looked at Lu Zilu in shock. It's not that the spells disappeared. This world is suppressing our magic power. It's not like we haven't experienced a small world like this before. Have you forgotten? Lu Zilu said. Ah, I remember now. I understand now. This is the area of the 100 Saints' righteousness altar. It must have been created by the ascended immortals. Great scholar Wang Long said. That's right. Lu Zilu nodded affirmatively. Yan Chuan didn't pay attention to the analysis of these great scholars. Instead, he started to investigate the surrounding underbrush. Soon, he found some broken grass. He took a deep breath and said, "Miss Meng, come with me." After that, Yan Chuan walked in the direction of the broken grass. Meng Rongrong looked at Yan Chuan with a complicated expression. Although her eyes were still stubborn, she still followed Yan Chuan. The great scholars of number 60 had been paying attention to the two of them. As the two of them walked in the direction of the miasma, the great scholars of number 60 stopped their discussion. "Senior brother, where do we go now?" Wang Long frowned. "I'll take half of the people to the Aoran Qi domain. Wang Long, take the other half and follow Yan Chuan into the miasma domain." Lu Zilu said. "Yes." Meng Rongrong soon caught up with Yan Chuan. "Why did you go this way?" Meng Rongrong asked curiously. Ever since he saw Meng Rongrong's naked body, Meng Rongrong's attitude had always been hostile. Now, she was finally willing to ask questions. Yan Chuan smiled and said, "Look at the grass on the ground." Meng Rongrong's expression froze. She immediately discovered the abnormality. "Is that grass broken?" Meng Rongrong's expression changed. "The grass is broken, which means that someone stepped on it. And the one who came in before us was probably the Holy Daughter." Yan Chuan took a deep breath and said. Hearing Yan Chuan's explanation, Meng Rongrong's eyes flashed with admiration. However, Meng Rongrong's expression darkened when she thought of following the Heavenly Maiden. "What's the matter?" Yan Chuan asked. "Humph, everything in this small world belongs to the Julu Academy. As long as I'm here, no one can take it away," Meng Rongrong said coldly. Yan Chuan smiled and did not argue with Meng Rongrong. After all, there was no point in doing so. "That group of people followed us?" Yan Chuan looked at the 30 Confucian scholars behind them in surprise. "Humph, a group of annoying people." Meng Rongrong looked behind and said coldly. Yan Chuan smiled. Following them might not be a bad thing. The group continued to walk deeper. The further they went, the more miasma there was. Fortunately, everyone had entered the Qi state and could adjust their internal breathing for a period of time. The group walked for a day. After passing through several mountains, they entered a dense forest. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. They could vaguely hear the sound of flowing water in the distance. Looking from afar, they saw a huge cliff shrouded in miasma. At the edge of the cliff, the Holy Daughter in white stood quietly in the wind, looking at the huge cliff in front of her. The sound of flowing water could be heard below the cliff. "We finally caught up." Yan Chuan smiled. Chapter 519. At the cliff entrance of the world of light. Yan Chuan arrived in the blink of an eye and saw the Heavenly Maiden putting away a round wheel. Heavenly Disc? Yan Chuan immediately recognized it. It was the one he obtained from the Demon Wind mountain range. Did the Heavenly Maiden find this place because of the Heavenly Disc? "Heavenly Maiden, why did you enter the forbidden area of the Julu Academy without informing us?" Meng Rongrong immediately stepped forward and shouted. Yan Chuan surrounded her, as did Wang Long, Chen Ping, and the other Confucian scholars. But in the blink of an eye, everyone was attracted by the scene in front of them. Below the cliff was a rolling river, and on the opposite side was a similar cliff. In the air above the cliff there were floating stones. They were connected to the opposite side of the cliff. Meng Rongrong blamed the Heavenly Maiden. The Heavenly Maiden sighed slightly and said, "Sorry, I'm doing this for the common people." "The common people?" The Confucian scholars looked at the Heavenly Maiden in shock. "What common people? Speak clearly!" Meng Rongrong shouted. The Heavenly Maiden shook her head and stepped onto a floating stone. She stood steadily on it. Yan Chuan was worried. After all, the Heavenly Maiden was blind. How could she step on the floating stone so accurately? After all, the floating rocks were scattered all over the place. The fairy stepped on one of the floating rocks and then another. Every step she took was a floating rock as she walked towards the other side. There must be something on the other side. Let's go, let's go. Chen Ping shouted excitedly. Chen Ping led the 3 Confucian scholars and quickly jumped onto a floating stone. Bang! Strangely, the floating stone was not fixed in the air. Instead, it fell with a loud bang. Ah! Save us! How could this be? The 3 Confucian scholars fell down the cliff. Junior brother! The Confucian scholars cried out in alarm. However, the 3 of them fell down along with the floating stone. Bang! 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 Save us! Senior brother! In the blink of an eye, they fell into the river below and were swept away by the huge waves. Junior brother! The Confucian scholars cried out in confusion. How could this be? Why is it that the holy maiden is fine after stepping on the floating island, but Chen Ping fell into the river the moment he stepped on it? Follow me, Yen Chuan said to Meng Rongrong. But Yen Chuan jumped onto a floating rock. The floating rock beneath Yen Chuan's feet was also firmly fixed in the air. The group of Confucian scholars looked at him in astonishment. Why is Yen Chuan fine? Meng Rongrong followed behind Yen Chuan and stepped on the floating rock. Yen Chuan took the lead and stepped forward one by one. Some floating rocks can be stepped on, but some can't. Wang Long's expression changed. Immediately, everyone followed Yen Chuan's footsteps and quickly stepped onto the floating rocks. How do you know this can be stepped on? Meng Rongrong asked curiously. I don't know. It's the holy maiden who knows. These are the floating rocks she stepped on. Yen Chuan shook his head. But how does the holy maiden know which ones can be stepped on and which ones can't? Meng Rongrong frowned. I'm not sure either. Perhaps the holy maiden has been here before. Impossible. Rumor has it that the holy maiden has only been in the world for 20 years. 20 years ago, she never left the archaic Arcanum sect, much less come to the Jiulu Academy. This is her first time here. Meng Rongrong immediately shook her head. Yen Chuan revealed a trace of surprise. She can quickly know which ones can be stepped on the first time? Rumble. Just as everyone was moving forward, the floating rocks suddenly shook. The floating rock beneath Yen Chuan's feet also shook violently. Chapter 520. What's going on? Why are the floating rocks moving? Why are they moving? Several Confucian scholars exclaimed. Bang! A floating rock with a Confucian scholar on it suddenly fell. It was fixed in the air just a moment ago, but now it suddenly fell? Ah! Senior brother, save me! Bang! Rumble! In the blink of an eye, the Confucian scholar was washed away by the huge wave. The expressions of the Confucian scholars changed. Quick, go back, go back! Wang Long exclaimed. A Confucian scholar jumped onto the floating rock that he had just walked on. Bang! Ah! He fell again and was swept away by the huge wave. Not good, the bobbing of these floating rocks has become uncertain. Wang Long's expression changed drastically. The floating rock under Meng Rongrong's feet also shook. Yen Chuan looked into the distance. Even though the floating rocks were sinking, the fairy was still walking very smoothly. She had even reached the end of the floating rock. But the fairy jumped onto the other side of the floating rock. Yen Chuan, Meng Rongrong, and the group of Confucian scholars were left alone in the air. Ah, Yen Chuan, what should I do? I don't want to fall. Meng Rongrong said in a panic. Perhaps what she was afraid of would happen. The floating rock under Meng Rongrong's feet suddenly shook. Bang! Ah! Meng Rongrong fell off the cliff in fear. In this world, one's magic power was suppressed. Falling off the cliff might not kill one, but it could not stop the fear in everyone's heart. Because the magic power that they were so proud of could not be used, they immediately lost their sense of security. Below them was a surging river. Who wouldn't be afraid? Meng Rongrong was the same. Fear filled her heart when the floating rock shook. Now that the floating rock finally fell, her fear reached its peak. She waved her hands in the air, as if she was trying to grab a life-saving straw. But was there one now? Bang! A figure immediately hugged Meng Rongrong. While Meng Rongrong was frightened and helpless, Yan Chuan hugged Meng Rongrong. When Meng Rongrong fell, her eyes were filled with surprise. Yan Chuan hugged her? She jumped with him? Being held in his arms, Meng Rongrong's fear seemed to be swept away in an instant. In her eyes, there was only Yan Chuan's frowning brows. Looking at that eyebrow, for some reason, Meng Rongrong's heart suddenly became extremely calm. Who? The two of them fell into the river below the cliff. At this moment, even though she had fallen, Meng Rongrong did not feel the slightest bit of fear in her heart. She only felt that it was a pity that she could no longer stop the ferry. Why? As they fell, Meng Rongrong asked softly. At that time, Yan Chuan was on the floating island and did not fall. Why did he jump over and fall with him? Shut up! Yan Chuan shouted at Meng Rongrong. Meng Rongrong was stunned. Whoosh! Suddenly, a green vine shot out from Yan Chuan's left sleeve to the other side of the cliff. Bang! Like an extremely long whip, it instantly wrapped around a big tree on the opposite cliff. Whoosh! The long whip wrapped tightly and quickly shortened. She pulled Yan Chuan to the other side of the river. Oh! The scholars who fell everywhere looked at Yan Chuan pulling a long whip and flying to the other side. They were all very confused. Yan Chuan, you little brat! Bastard Yan Chuan! Why does he have a long whip? The scholars fell into the river one after another. They were all very depressed. Why do you have such a long whip? Meng Rongrong was surprised. Yan Chuan blushed and said, Don't talk nonsense. Hold me tight. We are going to hit the wall. After all, the two of them fell for a distance. Although the long whip wrapped around the big tree and shortened, it still hit half of the cliff. Boom! Ah! The two of them crashed into the cliff and broke a lot of rocks. Fortunately, the two of them had strong bodies and didn't suffer any serious injuries. They were just a little closer to each other. Whoosh! The long whip slowly shortened and pulled the two of them to the opposite cliff. After putting away Poison Ivy's long whip, the two of them immediately separated. Meng Rongrong blushed. The previous awkwardness was quickly attracted by the sound of a group of scholars falling down the cliff not far away. The river swept up the group of scholars and washed them away in the blink of an eye. Meng Rongrong looked at the scholars with a complicated expression. There's no need to look. At their cultivation level, even if their magic is suppressed, their bodies can definitely withstand the collision of the river. They won't die. Yan Chuan shook his head. Then, Yan Chuan walked out of the depths and chased after the ferry. What exactly was inside? The ferry actually wanted to barge in even at the risk of offending the Julu Academy? Yan Chuan felt a strong sense of curiosity. Meng Rongrong looked at the scholars who were being swept away by the river and immediately chased after Yan Chuan. They walked into the forest. This place was too strange. It was said to be an array formation that blocked people, but there was a way out. It was even more impossible to say that it was formed naturally. This world was created by people, so it was obviously man-made. Why would they create such floating stones? The fairy couldn't see, so she walked very slowly. Yan Chuan and Meng Rongrong soon caught up. They chased into a forest. Chirp, 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 chirp. Countless sparrows chirped. Yan Chuan and Meng Rongrong saw that the fairy was standing at the periphery of a spacious area. There were thousands of black sparrows flying in the spacious area. The sparrow flew in the empty space, and the empty space extended out in an arc. It was like a circle of empty space, enveloping the interior of the space. I remember now. The cliff from before seemed to have an arc as well. The river under the cliff might be a circular spacious area. Now, it's a circular spacious area? Meng Rongrong said in surprise with a frown. Are they poisonous sparrows? Yan Chuan's expression changed. Poisonous sparrows? Meng Rongrong asked curiously. These aren't real sparrows. They are poisonous sparrows formed by the dense miasma. They are controlled by someone using a formation and are flying randomly in a certain area. You can't touch them. These poisonous sparrows are extremely corrosive. Even emptiness realm experts will be turned into mush upon touching them. Even stones will be corroded upon contact, Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Poisonous sparrows? Have you seen them before? Meng Rongrong said with a frown. I have, but I only saw it once. It was a forest filled with extremely dense miasma. After nearly 1,000 years, a poisonous sparrow was formed. When the poisonous sparrow was born, it instantly corroded an emptiness realm expert and his Dharma treasures and weapons, causing them to rot together with him. There was only one back then, but there are millions of them here? Yan Chuan said in surprise. Looking at the densely packed poisonous sparrows, Yan Chuan's heart was in a state of shock. No wonder half of this world was miasma. The millions of poisonous sparrows explained everything. Fortunately, these poisonous sparrows flew randomly in a fixed area because of the array formation. Otherwise, if they swarmed over, even if he had the memories of his previous life, he would still be finished. While Yan Chuan was marveling at the countless poisonous sparrows, the fairy stepped into the spacious area not far away. No! Yan Chuan shouted in surprise. However, it was too late. The fairy had already stepped into the area where the poisonous sparrows were. Chapter 521. World of Radiance. Millions of poisonous sparrows surrounded a circular area. The heavenly maiden stepped forward and headed inside. No! Yan Chuan exclaimed. But it was too late. The fairy had already stepped into the area where the poisonous sparrows were. Chirp, 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 chirp. Thousands of poisonous sparrows flew rapidly from all directions, all of them crashing towards the holy maiden. The fairy paused slightly, and dozens of poisonous sparrows brushed past her. She continued forward, and dozens of poisonous sparrows brushed past her again. She paused again, and dozens of poisonous sparrows brushed past her again. How is this possible? Meng Rongrong exclaimed in surprise. As if rehearsed, the poisonous sparrows brushed past her one after another, but none of them touched the fairy. Is it a coincidence? It's not a coincidence. It can't be a coincidence. Yan Chuan's eyes widened. So the fairy is affecting the flying of the poisonous sparrows? No, the flying of the poisonous sparrows has never deviated. There are no rules. It's just that she keeps stopping and avoiding the poisonous sparrows. Yan Chuan frowned. Avoiding? These poisonous sparrows fly without any rules. How can they be avoided? There are millions of poisonous sparrows. Meng Rongrong said in disbelief. Unless. Yan Chuan frowned deeply. Unless the fairy has the ability to foresee the future. Meng Rongrong followed Yan Chuan's words. Foresee the future? Yan Chuan's eyes suddenly narrowed. Right, foresee the future. If she really has this ability, it can explain why she stepped on the floating stone earlier. She can foresee the effect of the floating stone. Now, she can foresee the flying trajectory of the poisonous sparrows. That's why she can strangely avoid the poisonous sparrows every time. Meng Rongrong's eyes widened. Impossible, impossible. The future is unpredictable. Even immortals can't foresee it because the future doesn't exist. Only what is experienced is real. How can a future that doesn't exist be foreseen? Yan Chuan shook his head. The heavenly maiden cultivates luck. Meng Rongrong said. Yan Chuan shook his head resolutely. It's impossible to cultivate luck. At most, I can calculate the past and the present. I can only calculate the things that exist or have existed in the past. How can I predict the future? Then why don't you explain why the heavenly maiden was able to avoid thousands of poisonous sparrows? Meng Rongrong said angrily. I don't know. Yan Chuan was at a loss. Who? Soon, Fairy had passed through the poisoned sparrow domain and arrived on the other side. Yen Chuan's eyes were filled with anxiety as he watched the holy maiden enter the depths. Move aside, let me do it. Meng Rongrong suddenly untied the zither on her back. Yen Chuan nodded and slowly stepped aside. Ding 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 ding. The zither string moved and a sound wave rushed out. The flying venomous sparrow suddenly stopped. Is it really working? Meng Rongrong's face lit up. Ding 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 ding. Meng Rongrong strummed the zither and beautiful music started to play. As soon as the music started, the venomous sparrow domain seemed to be intoxicated by the sound wave. Their originally irregular flight became regular in the blink of an eye. Under the music, the venomous sparrow domain soared into the sky and quickly circled in the sky. In an instant, a venomous sparrow domain appeared below. Amazing! Yen Chuan praised. Meng Rongrong smiled and a trace of pride flashed across her eyes. Meng Rongrong strummed the zither string and quickly walked towards the interior. Yen Chuan also walked towards the interior. Soon, the two also passed through the venomous sparrow domain. The music stopped. Bam! G. Countless venomous sparrow domain resumed their original irregular behavior and formed a wall of venomous sparrows. Chapter 522. Miss Meng's zither skills are the best I've ever seen. It's hard to find a match for you in this world. Yen Chuan exclaimed. My zither skills? It's still too early to say. As far as I know, there are at least 2 people who are better than me. Meng Rongrong shook her head. Oh! Yen Chuan said in surprise. As the two chatted, they chased after the fairy. Soon, the two discovered something extremely unusual. The ground is black and so are the trees? Why are they all black? Meng Rongrong said in surprise. We're about to reach the source of the miasma. The ground and trees have all been dyed black by the miasma. Yen Chuan said in a low voice. Meng Rongrong nodded. In the blink of an eye, Yen Chuan and Meng Rongrong had caught up to the fairy. You two actually followed me? The fairy was surprised. I thought you couldn't see? How did you arrive here so accurately? Yen Chuan frowned. I'm blind, but my mind's eye is open. My mind's eye can see my surroundings, but it's a pity that my mind's eye can only see black and white. I can't see a colorful world like you. The fairy smiled bitterly as she walked. Fairy, what are you looking for? Meng Rongrong frowned. Don't you know this place? The fairy asked curiously. What do you mean? Meng Rongrong frowned. In our world, there are actually some seals. No one knows when they came from, only that they existed a long time ago. Some can even be traced back to ancient times. I remember that there should be a seal in the Demon Wind mountain range. It was later placed by Immortal Master Damiao. The fairy took a deep breath. Myriad Wonders Demonic Lotus? I've experienced that battle before. Yen Chuan exclaimed. The Myriad Wonders Demonic Lotus was that battle. Yen Chuan met Mo Yushi and Mr. Monroe, and obtained the Jade Emperor's sword. 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus? Indeed, it is an ancient item that Master Damiao accidentally obtained. It is incomparably evil. Perhaps Master Damiao learned about the reason for the ancient Great Calamity from the Myriad Wonders Demonic Lotus, so he set up a feng shui formation to seal the Myriad Wonders Demonic Lotus. The Holy Maiden recalled. The Great Ancient Calamity? Yen Chuan asked curiously. The Great Ancient Calamity, that was a great calamity, right? After that calamity, the heavenly Tao collapsed, the high heavens already died. The Holy Maiden sighed lightly. The collapse of the heavenly Tao? Heaven is dead? Yen Chuan was puzzled. Not only Yen Chuan, but Meng Rongrong was also at a loss. That's right. Our Celestial Arcanum sect has actually been deducing the events of ancient times. However, when we deduced all the way up to that great calamity, we were unable to deduce any further. Therefore, we are looking for things from before the great calamity, hoping to restore that portion of history. The heavenly maiden shook her head. History from before the great calamity? Meng Rongrong asked in surprise. Over the years, generations of wise men of the Celestial Arcanum sect have been deducing, but nothing has been found. We only know that Goddess Xichen, whom the world worships, was a figure from before the great calamity. She didn't create all life, but saved all life. In that great calamity, she sacrificed herself to save all life. Unfortunately, after that, the heavenly Tao collapsed, and the high heavens already died. The holy maiden sighed lightly. What does that have to do with coming here? Meng Rongrong frowned. 50,000 years ago, an ancient seal was found here at the Julu Academy. It was an ancient item. The founder of the Julu Academy, Invincible East, was about to ascend, so he created the world of light here and let his descendants guard it, the holy maiden said solemnly. Invincible East? Yan Chuan frowned. Chapter 523. Dongfang Bubi, the most powerful person in the world 50,000 years ago. When he established the Julu Academy, he instructed all sects, sacred grounds, and academies to abide by one rule. No sealed evil item in this world can be brought into the immortal world. Anyone who violates this rule will be punished by the world. Even if he ascends, he will be hunted down by the immortal world. The heavenly maiden took a deep breath and said, So domineering? Meng Rongrong said in surprise. You want to steal the ancient item here? Yan Chuan said with a frown. It's not stealing. It's an agreement between my Archaic Mysteries sect and the Julu Academy's third-generation dean. They set up barriers in this world, similar to the floating rock and poisonous sparrow from before. As long as someone from my Archaic Mysteries sect can take it away, my Archaic Mysteries sect will take care of it. The heavenly maiden said solemnly. As she said that, the three of them unconsciously stopped, because the three of them had already seen the so-called ancient item. In front of them was a black pool. The pool was filled with incomparable evil energy. It was as if the pool was formed by miasma and evil energy. Above the pool of water was a black rose. The rose emitted an extremely evil energy. It was as if the rose had dyed the pool below black. It was as if the rose had dyed half of the radiant world black. And above the rose was a glazed pagoda. The glazed pagoda was holding the black rose. Even with the glazed pagoda, the black rose still emitted a dense evil energy, continuously polluting the earth. This evil energy, why does it feel a bit like the 10,000 Wonders demon lotus? Yan Chuan frowned. Buzz! The Jade Emperor sword on Yan Chuan's back suddenly trembled, as if it was excited. Yan Chuan frowned and steadied the Jade Emperor sword. I finally found it. The heavenly maiden sighed. That black rose? Yan Chuan asked. Both. The glazed pagoda and that rose are ancient items. With this item, it will be easier to deduce ancient matters. The heavenly maiden took a deep breath and said, No, this belongs to the Julu Academy. You can't take it unless my father comes. Meng Rongrong immediately blocked the holy maiden. This is something that Julu Academy's third-generation headmaster personally promised. Since I'm able to come here, I can take it. The holy maiden shook her head. No, how do I know you're telling the truth? As long as I'm here, don't even think about it. Meng Rongrong said coldly. With a wave of her hand, she placed the zither in front of her. If the heavenly maiden dared to move, she would attack. Although there was no mana here, Meng Rongrong's zither skills had not diminished. Naturally, she could produce sound techniques. Who? The holy maiden's figure suddenly flickered. She instantly appeared behind Meng Rongrong and pointed her finger. Pa! Meng Rongrong suddenly stiffened. How is that possible? You weren't suppressed by the radiant world? How do you have mana? Meng Rongrong was unable to move. I didn't say that I was suppressed. The holy maiden laughed. Why? Why aren't you suppressed? Meng Rongrong exclaimed. Meng Rongrong was instantly restrained by the holy maiden, unable to move. I have my ways. The holy maiden shook her head and did not explain. With that, the holy maiden looked at Yen Chuan and said, Yen Chuan, what about you? Do you want to stop me too? Taking a deep breath, Yen Chuan looked deeply at the holy maiden. This woman looked exactly like his wife in his previous life. Yen Chuan took a deep breath and said, I want to ask you a question. Holy maiden, how old are you this year? Yen Chuan asked solemnly. Me? 23 years old. The holy maiden said solemnly. 23? Didn't you start traveling around the world 20 years ago? 3 years old? Meng Rongrong, who was unable to move, exclaimed. 3 years old? Indeed, but at that time, I had already unlocked the wisdom of my previous life. So age is not important to me. The holy maiden shook her head. 23 years old? 23 years old? Yen Chuan suddenly felt a strong sense of hope. Because Zhenrou's death was 23 years ago, she should have died around that time. Zhenrou is dead? The holy maiden was born? Yen Chuan, are you going to stop me? The holy maiden asked again. Yen Chuan took a deep breath and said, No, I'll help you. Yen Chuan, you bastard. Meng Rongrong Jiaohu said. Chapter 524. Yen Chuan, you want to stop me? The heavenly maiden asked again. No, I'll help you. Yen Chuan said after taking a deep breath. Yen Chuan, you bastard. Meng Rongrong Jiaohu said. Yen Chuan had mixed feelings about the heavenly maiden. In fact, Yen Chuan had already guessed that the heavenly maiden was not Zhenrou. However, there was always a glimmer of hope because there were too many coincidences. For Zhenrou, Yen Chuan did not want to give up even though he knew that there was a dead end ahead. You'll help me? No need. The heavenly maiden shook her head. With that, the heavenly maiden walked to the side of the black pool. With a wave of her hand, a ribbon flew out of her sleeve and wrapped around the glazed pagoda. No! Yen Chuan immediately shouted. The heavenly maiden frowned and turned back. The glazed pagoda is aimed at the black rose. Once the pagoda is taken away, the black rose will instantly release the evil aura that corrodes us. It will be even more powerful than the poisonous sparrow. We cannot take it away. We have to deal with the black rose first. Yen Chuan said in a deep voice. The heavenly maiden nodded. The ribbon loosened and shot toward the black rose as if she wanted to subdue it first. Sizzle! 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 The end of the ribbon was suddenly corroded clean. What's wrong? The heavenly maiden raised her brows. The half-corroded ribbon fell into the black pool below. Sizzle! 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 The black water instantly corroded the ribbon again. What a heavy evil aura! The heavenly maiden exclaimed. With that, the heavenly maiden took out a purple jade box. The jade box released a faint light and moved toward the black rose. Sizzle! The jade box instantly corroded again. How is that possible? The purple jade box is a Tier 9 Dharma treasure. It's only one step away from an immortal artifact. The heavenly maiden exclaimed. Buzz! The Jade Emperor's sword on Yen Chuan's back trembled violently as if it was excited about something. Yen Chuan frowned and took out the Jade Emperor's sword. Let me try. Yen Chuan stepped forward. You! Fairy revealed a look of disbelief. Yen Chuan walked forward, mostly because of the Jade Emperor's sword's thoughts. The Jade Emperor's sword was excited? Yen Chuan had experienced this kind of excitement before. In the past, when he killed people and sucked their blood, he was excited. However, it was not as intense as now. Could it be that the Jade Emperor's sword could also absorb this evil aura? He probingly inserted the Jade Emperor's sword into the side of the pool. Golyalo! The Jade Emperor's sword suddenly made a sound like it was drinking water. Rumble! A large amount of evil aura suddenly gathered towards the Jade Emperor's sword. The evil aura grew denser and denser. The surroundings of the Jade Emperor's sword instantly turned pitch black. Fairy exclaimed in surprise. Yen Chuan was even more surprised. The Jade Emperor's sword was already evil enough. Was it not enough? Golyalo! The water in the small pool churned and flowed towards the shore, towards the Jade Emperor's sword. The Jade Emperor's sword instantly turned pitch black. Its entire body glowed with a dark light. What kind of sword is that? Fairy exclaimed. Not only Fairy, but Meng Rongrong also looked at Yen Chuan's Jade Emperor's sword in surprise. Jade Emperor! Yen Chuan frowned. The Jade Emperor's sword did not need him to activate it. It absorbed the water on its own as if it was a rare tonic. Golyalu, Golyalo! More and more black water in the small pool gathered towards the Jade Emperor's sword. After half an hour, the black pool dried up. All the black water was absorbed by the Jade Emperor's sword. The Jade Emperor's sword was surrounded by black aura, making it impossible for anyone to get close. This was not the end. The black aura connected to the black rose in midair, as if it was extracting the evil aura of the black rose. Buzz! Chapter 525. The black rose let out a rumbling sound, as if it was trying to stop the black gas from leaking out. At this moment, the glazed pagoda suddenly emitted a dazzling rainbow light that shot towards the black rose. In an instant, the black rose was suppressed by the pagoda and struggled bitterly. On the other side, the Jade Emperor's sword was violently absorbing the nourishing energy. Rumble! The black rose's evil energy was flowing towards the Jade Emperor's sword. The Jade Emperor's sword slowly emitted a faint black sword energy. Your sword has a sword spirit? The Heavenly Lady was shocked. It's not fully cultivated. It's only in its embryonic form. It should be a type of instinct. Yen Chuan shook his head. Yen Chuan also looked at the Jade Emperor's sword in shock. Yen Chuan was sure that the Jade Emperor's sword spirit was rapidly improving and condensing. Rumble! The black gas surged towards the black rose, causing it to tremble. As if it couldn't take it anymore, the glazed pagoda emitted an even brighter light that shot towards the black rose. Gradually, a petal of the black rose suddenly fell. It was as if the black rose was withering. The falling petal turned into a black gas in the air, and was absorbed by the Jade Emperor's sword again. Your sword extracted the evil aura of the black rose and extracted its essence? It seems so. Yen Chuan nodded seriously. The Jade Emperor's sword was trembling violently. It was emitting a joyful sound. Sword spirit? Is it really going to complete the sword spirit? Yen Chuan was shocked. Yen Chuan's eyes flashed with anticipation and worry. He was anticipating that the sword spirit was about to be completed. It took him thousands of years to cultivate the sword spirit in his previous life. In this life, it only took him a few years? He was worried that the sword spirit wasn't cultivated by him. He had to quickly subdue it. Otherwise, the Jade Emperor's sword would no longer recognize him as its master. Whoosh! The black rose continued to wither as the Jade Emperor's sword absorbed the evil energy. Iron Jade Essence? But why can't it contain the evil energy? The Heavenly Lady was confused. My sword is no longer pure Iron Jade Essence. It mutated after being tainted by the evil energy of the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. It seems that the black rose and the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus are of the same origin. Yen Chuan frowned. Whoosh! 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 The petals withered and the black rose became smaller and smaller. Gradually, it was absorbed by the Jade Emperor's sword. Boom! The glazed pagoda. The Heavenly Lady reached out her hand to. The pagoda emitted a dazzling light. Rise! The Heavenly Maiden shouted. Rumble! The pagoda was lifted up by the Holy Maiden, and the ground around it began to shake strangely. Mountains to the ground to break it was to be a strong earthquake. Young Master Yen, Miss Meng, we'll meet again. The Holy Maiden carried the pagoda and soared into the sky, flying into the distance. The pagoda. Itu Chi Chi Tu. To it radiant world. Great morality area. As Lu Zilu and the others entered deeper into the palace, they gradually saw a large number of palaces. Everyone rushed over excitedly and entered a large hall. So many books! A Confucian exclaimed. The Confucian scholars took out different books and started reading. Are these books from 30,000 years ago? 30,000 years ago, a Confucian scholar said excitedly. What a dense, righteous energy! If I meditate here, my cultivation will definitely increase tenfold with this scripture. Chapter 526. The Confucian scholars looked on excitedly. In the depths of the palaces, the door to a large hall with the words Hall of Light on it suddenly opened. A skinny old man stepped out. He was dressed in white and had a diamond-shaped mark in between his eyebrows. His expression was cold and his eyes were deep like a deep pool. The old man glanced at the palace where Lu Zilu and the rest were, then turned to look at the miasma area in the distance. The miasma is decreasing? The demonic rose has been taken by someone? Who? The old man's eyes narrowed. Suddenly, a colorful light shot into the sky. The colorful light was extremely dazzling, and wherever it passed, the miasma would be purified. A lady was flying quickly with a pagoda. That bastard Meng Ziqiu, how dare he let so many people sneak into the world of light and steal our treasure? The old man stared. As the old man stared, the heavenly maiden in the distance held the pagoda in one hand and the heavenly disk in the other. Star power! The heavenly maiden shouted. Boom! The heavenly disk emitted a white light. In the sky of Jilu City outside the world of light, the 300 stars that had dimmed suddenly became dazzling again. Whoosh! Endless light shot down from the starry sky, causing the citizens of Jilu City to be shocked. Similarly, it came quickly and left even faster. In the blink of an eye, the dazzling stars disappeared. Outside the 100 Saints' Righteousness altar, a group of Confucian scholars stood guard, not allowing anyone to enter. The 100 Saints' Righteousness altar was empty. Whoosh! Whoosh! Behind the statue of Goddess Xichen, 10 expressionless men walked out. There was also a huge green phoenix carriage. They were the subordinates of the Heavenly Maiden. They had not left Jilu City and had been hiding here. They were waiting for the Heavenly Maiden's signal. The 10 expressionless men formed a circle and attacked the entrance of the world of light at the same time. Hong! A loud sound echoed throughout the entire Jilu City. In an instant, the entrance of the world of light opened again. What's that sound? The Confucian scholars exclaimed outside. Quick, inform the dean. Someone shouted. A few Confucian scholars rushed into the 100 Saints' Righteousness altar. Bastard, who are you people? The Confucian scholars shouted. However, the Heavenly Maiden's subordinates did not care. Rumble! A huge glazed pagoda emerged from the entrance. Fairy rushed out with the pagoda in her hand. Let's go! Heavenly Maiden jumped onto the carriage and shouted. The figures of the 10 wooden men suddenly swayed and turned into 10 huge blue luans. 12 blue luans bit the ropes of the huge chariot and immediately soared into the sky. Who? With a terrifying speed, he instantly turned into a green stream of light and shot far away. Where do you think you're going? At the entrance, another white light soared into the sky. The old man with the diamond-shaped mark between his eyebrows chased after them. His speed was so fast that it shocked the group of great scholars. Who is this person? Someone asked in shock. In the light world, black gas surrounded the Jade Emperor's sword. Yen Chuan's eyes turned solemn. He had to suppress the sword spirit before it was fully formed. Although the black sword chi was wreaking havoc, Yen Chuan still resolutely walked over. He reached out and grabbed the Jade Emperor sword. Boom! The Jade Emperor sword emitted a dazzling black light as if it was fiercely repelling Yen Chuan. Evil creature, how dare you! Yen Chuan glared. Boom! Yen Chuan's aura suddenly became stronger. The Jade Emperor sword's evil aura wreaked havoc and fiercely attacked Yen Chuan, trying to push Yen Chuan away. Roar! Yan Chuan's face instantly turned ferocious. The true dragon's will was released and clashed with the Jade Emperor Sword's evil aura. However, the evil aura was too fierce. It was so fierce that even with Yan Chuan's will from his previous life, he could not suppress it. It was as if he would not be able to resist it very soon. The powerful evil aura even wanted to corrode Yan Chuan's body. Chapter 527. Yan Chuan, how are you? Meng Rongrong couldn't move, but she was still worried. Yan Chuan's current appearance was a little scary. His face was ferocious, and his veins were bulging. Waves of tyrannical aura surged out, but the Jade Emperor Sword's evil aura was too dense. Gaga. It was as if hundreds of black demonic heads had appeared in an instant, resisting Yan Chuan's aura. Yan Chuan's hands had already turned pitch black. Moreover, this black color was spreading to his entire body. Bastard, if it wasn't for the fact that I lost everything from my previous life, I would only need one seal to kill you. Yan Chuan's eyes flashed with anger. Yan Chuan? Yan Chuan. Meng Rongrong said anxiously. At this moment, Yan Chuan naturally didn't have the time to care about Meng Rongrong. Holding the Jade Emperor Sword, his eyes suddenly turned slightly red. Thump, thump, thump. Yan Chuan's heart suddenly started beating faster and faster. Yan Chuan's hair also slowly turned red, and slowly grew longer. Ah! Meng Rongrong cried out in surprise. Yan Chuan's entire body was emitting bloody light. The bloody light outside his body seemed to be fighting against the evil aura. Super Theurgy, suppress the evil aura for me. Yan Chuan roared with a ferocious expression. Boom! Yan Chuan's aura rose rapidly. But it was still not enough. The evil aura was too strong. Looking up at the sky, Yan Chuan's eyes flashed with a hint of depression. Small world? With my current strength, I still can't forcefully use the power of the stars in a place without stars. Yan Chuan's eyes flashed with a hint of helplessness. He used his super divine ability. His hair turned blood red, and his strength skyrocketed. Even with the will of the Emperor, he was still unable to suppress the evil energy. Yan Chuan's forearm had already turned completely black. The evil energy was continuously corroding his body. Are you going to give up the Jade Emperor's sword? No, the Jade Emperor's sword is mine. As long as I don't die, you will forever serve me. Yan Chuan roared. With a loud roar, the violent aura once again rushed into the Jade Emperor's sword. Rumble! The two powerful forces collided with each other, and the surrounding air shook as if a hurricane had blown past. Boom! Yan Chuan's arm emitted a series of loud bangs. The blood mist and black gas mixed together, making the inside of the Yan Chuan look incomparably evil. Yan Chuan? How are you? Meng Rongrong asked anxiously. Ka. In the collision, cracks seemed to have appeared on Yan Chuan's skin. The powerful force collided, and Yan Chuan's Qi realm body seemed to be unable to withstand it. Go back, roar! Yan Chuan's cracked skin suddenly spewed out a large amount of blood. His originally long hair suddenly grew again, and in the blink of an eye, it grew from his back all the way to his waist. Boom! On the ground, a huge blood lake suddenly rushed out from under Yan Chuan's feet. It appeared out of nowhere, as if Yan Chuan had created the blood lake with his steps. No, it should be a blood sea. However, at this moment, it was limited by Yan Chuan's cultivation, and the blood sea was too small. Even though the blood sea was too small, it instantly filled the entire valley. The blood sea swept up a huge wave that was 10 feet high, but it didn't continue to extend outwards. Once the blood sea appeared, it rumbled and absorbed the heaven and earth yuan qi from all directions. In the blood sea, Yan Chuan was no longer surrounded by blood mist. Instead, blood waves surrounded Yan Chuan, making him look like a sea demon. I'm here, go back into the sword. Yan Chuan roared. Boom, boom, boom. Chapter 528. A large amount of black gas was forcefully pushed back, and the black gas on Yan Chuan's arm was slowly shrinking. On the other side, Meng Rongrong, who was submerged in the blood sea with only her head exposed, was shocked. This is? What's going on? Blood sea? Meng Rongrong was shocked. Yan Chuan's eyes were blood red as he turned to look at Meng Rongrong, his eyes filled with madness. Suppressing the evil energy, Yan Chuan took a deep breath. Super Theurgy, second form? Blood Sea Realm? What a great feeling! Yan Chuan said with excitement. As the evil energy was being suppressed, Yan Chuan was also able to feel the second form of the Bloodline Theurgy, the Blood Sea Realm? A sea of energy for him to use? Rumble! All the black gas was pushed back into the Jade Emperor sword. Phew! Yan Chuan laughed excitedly with a sense of unbridled arrogance. Just like before, the Jade Emperor sword once again sent a portion of its energy into Yan Chuan's body. Different from before, this time it asked for Yan Chuan's permission. Under normal circumstances, Yan Chuan would have to think about it calmly, but now, with the second form of the Super Theurgy, Yan Chuan's body was filled with excitement. Power? Come! Phew! Waves of evil energy rushed into Yan Chuan's body. Boom! Yan Chuan's body made a loud sound. Third level of the Qi realm? Yan Chuan said excitedly. The powerful energy continued to rush into Yan Chuan's body, and Yan Chuan enjoyed it. Gradually, Yan Chuan's face turned red. Phew! Phew! Yan Chuan's breathing became rapid. What's going on? My blood qi? Super Yan Chuan looked at the Jade Emperor sword in shock. Rose? Roses? Was it the black rose he had absorbed earlier? The essence of roses has an aphrodisiac effect? Black rose was even worse? What an overbearing effect. Not good. Super Yan Chuan's expression changed. Even now, you still want to resist? Die roar. With the heat of his boiling blood, Yan Chuan roared again. A powerful force rushed towards the Jade Emperor's sword. The Jade Emperor's sword had wanted to put up a final resistance, but at that moment, Yan Chuan's power was too overbearing. With the addition of the heat, it pressed down on the Jade Emperor's sword. Boom! The Jade King's sword let out a loud boom. The resistance that was about to give birth to a sword spirit was completely destroyed by Yan Chuan's power. The surrounding black qi suddenly retracted into the Jade Emperor sword. It did not dare to resist anymore. Yan Chuan had won. He had completely subdued the Jade Emperor sword. However, the aphrodisiac essence of the black rose was all poured into Yan Chuan's body. Yan Chuan's body became hotter and hotter. His eyes were bloodshot and his thoughts were in a mess. It was as if he was lost in his desire. With nowhere to vent his desire, Yan Chuan fell into a frenzy. Ah! Yan Chuan roared in agitation. Yan Chuan, are you okay? A voice suddenly came from the sea of blood. This voice was like an outlet for him to vent his anger. The lost Yan Chuan suddenly turned his head. His eyes were filled with strong desire. Yan Chuan, what are you doing? Meng Rongrong suddenly felt that something was wrong. Whoosh! Yan Chuan rushed over and hugged Meng Rongrong. No! However, Yan Chuan had already lost his mind. He reached out and tore off their clothes. His blood-red hair wrapped around the two of them. His most primitive instinct was activated. As Meng Rongrong resisted, Yan Chuan's actions became more and more violent. Meng Rongrong's most beautiful dream was completely destroyed by Yan Chuan, who had lost his mind. Chapter 529. Yan Chuan, I hate you! Meng Rongrong cried out with tears in her eyes. But soon, she was immersed in Yan Chuan's violent charge. The heavenly lady rushed out of the radiant world, carried the pagoda, and boarded the green phoenix carriage. The 12 green phoenixes pulled the carriage at an astonishing speed. They rushed out of Jilu City in an instant and continued to fly into the distance. But the person behind was even faster. The two of them chased and neither of them was willing to stop. After 2 hours they finally caught up. The white-robed elder appeared in front of the green phoenix carriage. Ing! 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 The 12 green phoenixes cried out and stopped. The heavenly lady carried the pagoda and stood in front of the carriage. Rumble! In the sky, rolling black clouds suddenly appeared, as though they were targeting the white-robed elder. If not for you, I would have caught up with this girl. The white-robed elder shouted at the black clouds in the sky. The diamond-shaped mark between the elder's eyebrows suddenly emitted a white light that enveloped him. Instantly, the thunderclouds in the sky became much smaller, but they still floated above the white-robed elder's head. "Little girl, how dare you?" the white-robed elder said coldly. The heavenly lady did not panic. Instead, she stood in front of the carriage and said calmly, "The current heavenly lady of the Celestial Arcanum sect greets Senior." Celestial Arcanum sect? The white-robed elder frowned. "May I ask who Senior is?" the heavenly lady asked solemnly. "I am Meng Lingtian," the white-robed elder said. "Meng Lingtian? You are?" The heavenly lady was surprised. "That's right, you are right. Hand over the demonic rose and the glazed pagoda. For the sake of the Celestial Arcanum sect, I can let bygones be bygones." The white-robed elder, Meng Lingtian, said in a deep voice. "Let bygones be bygones? Senior, you have misunderstood. What I want is not to let bygones be bygones, but the promise of the Julu Academy. Since you are Meng Lingtian, I don't have to waste my breath. You also know about the promise. Since I have already obtained it, does the Julu Academy want to go back on its words?" the heavenly lady said in a deep voice. Meng Lingtian narrowed his eyes. "Senior Meng, your Julu Academy has a strong foundation, but my archaic Arcanum sect isn't just an empty shell. If the Julu Academy has someone like you, how could my archaic Arcanum sect not have one? This was the agreement from back then. Could it be that you want to go back on your word? If you go back on your words, I guarantee that the archaic Arcanum sect will come immediately," shouted the Holy Maiden. "Ha ha ha ha, little girl, are you trying to scare me? You're still too inexperienced. Come on, my Julu Academy has never been afraid of anyone," Meng Lingtian said disdainfully. "Senior Meng, is the Julu Academy really going back on its word?" the Holy Maiden asked in a deep voice. Meng Lingtian's face darkened. "This item will only be safeguarded by my Celestial Arcanum sect. My Celestial Arcanum sect will set up obstacles. In the future, if anyone from the Julu Academy has the ability, they can go to the Celestial Arcanum sect to retrieve it. How about it?" said the heavenly maiden. Rumble. The dark clouds above Meng Lingtian's head continued to rumble, as if they would strike down at any moment. Looking at the dark clouds above his head, Meng Lingtian's face darkened. "Senior Meng, let's leave the matters of the younger generation to the juniors. Back then, the third-generation headmaster of the Julu Academy made an agreement with my sect. No matter what, Senior, don't worry. We won't violate the rules set down by Invincible East back then," Fairy said solemnly. Looking at the Holy Maiden, Meng Lingtian revealed a strange smile. "Ha ha ha ha, a junior from the Celestial Arcanum sect? All right, I won't interfere. However, you must take good care of these 2 items. I will select a Julu Academy disciple to personally teach them. When the time comes, I will come to the archaic Arcanum sect to retrieve the treasures." Meng Lingtian shouted. "Thank you, Senior Meng, for granting my wish. The Holy Maiden will definitely not forget." The Holy Maiden smiled. "Let's go." Meng Lingtian flicked his sleeve. "Let's go." Fairy shouted. Hum. Hum. Qing Luan pulled Fairy and shot far away in an instant. Meng Lingtian's expression was gloomy as he watched the Holy Maiden leave. He then looked up at the dark clouds in the sky. "After leaving the radiant world, wherever I go, you chase after me. How annoying!" Meng Lingtian shouted at the dark clouds in annoyance. Rumble. The dark clouds rumbled. It was as if they were warning Meng Lingtian. "I know. Go back. I'll go back to the radiant world, okay? You're the boss. Meng Lingtian was annoyed and speechless. Chapter 530. The World of Light. Yen Chuan, who had lost himself, gradually regained his senses after the rain stopped and his lust dissipated. Furthermore, for some unknown reason, his blood-red hair slowly turned black, and his heartbeat slowed down. Everything returned to normal. The blood sea around him receded. Yen Chuan's cultivation had reached the 5th level of the Qi realm. 2 levels in a row. But Yen Chuan didn't care about his cultivation at this moment, because there was a bigger problem in front of him. He was completely naked, and there was a naked woman underneath him. It was Meng Rongrong. Meng Rongrong seemed to have fallen asleep, but the dried tears at the corner of her eyes told him everything that had happened. What? Yen Chuan looked at himself and Meng Rongrong in shock. Suddenly, everything that had happened before flashed through his mind. Thinking about everything that had happened, Yen Chuan's face showed a trace of bitterness. At the same time, he looked down at Meng Rongrong with a trace of guilt in his eyes. He gently got up and carefully pulled himself out of Meng Rongrong's body. Maybe it was a little too big of a movement, or maybe it was because Meng Rongrong's wounds hadn't healed, but Meng Rongrong suddenly felt a pain in her sleep and frowned as she opened her eyes. Suddenly, the two were face to face. Meng Rongrong had just woken up, and her mind was still in a mess. Yen Chuan quickly got up. Ah! Meng Rongrong suddenly reacted and let out a long scream. But soon, Meng Rongrong stopped screaming and curled up, sobbing softly. Yen Chuan looked around for clothes, but there was only a pile of tattered clothes on the floor. There wasn't a single complete piece of cloth. Looking at the sobbing Meng Rongrong, Yen Chuan sighed and said, "Miss Meng, what's done is done. Come back with me." Meng Rongrong gently raised her head and looked at Yen Chuan, slightly confused. "Go back?" "Yes, soon I will go back and establish a country. Come back with me and be my empress." Yen Chuan took a deep breath and said, "I don't want to, you bastard, I hate you, I hate you." Meng Rongrong suddenly cried again. Yen Chuan frowned, not knowing what to do. After all, he was the one who had gone crazy. While Yen Chuan was thinking about how to comfort Meng Rongrong, suddenly, a round wheel appeared on the ground in front of Yen Chuan, emitting a large amount of white light. It was as if a small altar had appeared out of thin air. 1. A white light flashed, and a kitten suddenly appeared on the small altar. "Meow? Big pervert, you're again? Huh? What did you do just now? Meow? Meow, I didn't see anything. Meow, I didn't see anything." Meow covered her eyes with her small paws, but still secretly looked at the two of them curiously. Yen Chuan. Meng Rongrong. Meow, quickly take out 2 sets of clothes. Yen Chuan suddenly shouted. "I didn't see, Meow didn't see." Meow covered her eyes. "Stop pretending, quickly take out the clothes. It's not like I didn't see it last time." Yen Chuan was speechless. Last time, when they fell into the Sound River vortex in the Tiger Tribe's territory, their clothes were indeed torn once. "Oh!" Meow thought about it and agreed. Meow quickly took out 2 sets of clothes. Yen Chuan handed one to Meng Rongrong. He wore one for himself. "You carry it." Meng Rongrong curled up and said, "Okay." Yen Chuan nodded. "Meow? Didn't I see it last time? What's there to be embarrassed about?" Meow didn't understand. However, the two of them wouldn't listen to Meow's nagging. They quickly put on their clothes. Chapter 531. Meng Rongrong put on Yen Chuan's clothes again. "Meow, there's a pool of blood here. Is someone hurt?" Meow jumped to a piece of cloth. Meng Rongrong saw it and immediately snatched it and put it away carefully. "Meow? This blood is yours. Why are you snatching it?" Meow was speechless. Meng Rongrong. "Meow, how did you get here?" Yen Chuan was puzzled. "Isn't it your fault? I woke up and found you gone? I asked around but no one knew. Qing Long and the rest were looking for you everywhere. You didn't even say anything when you went out. Luckily, I'm powerful. I thought about it and appeared in front of you, Meow said proudly. Thought about it and you appeared? Was it the clan contract you made with me back then? Yen Chuan frowned. When he first met Meow, Meow bit Yen Chuan and made a clan contract. What clan contract? Meow was puzzled. Forget it if you forgot. No. Tell me what the clan contract is. Meow insisted. Can you appear in someone else's place? Yen Chuan explained. No. That's right. You made a clan contract with me. Logically speaking, I can summon tigers, especially you. When I summon you, you will be able to sense it. As long as you agree, you can be summoned to me instantly. But I didn't expect you to be able to come here on your own. Yen Chuan said strangely. Meow? When did I make a clan contract with you? Why don't I remember? Meow said in disbelief. Yen Chuan looked at Meow and sighed. He didn't want to explain. The more he talked, the more his head hurt. Meng Rongrong stood up and picked up the zither that had fallen not far away. She bit her lips and looked at Yen Chuan with a complicated expression. There was hatred in his eyes, as well as another indescribable emotion. Miss Meng Rongrong? Yen Chuan looked at Meng Rongrong. Don't call me, I don't want to see you. Meng Rongrong's voice was filled with shame and anger. Meng Rongrong stepped forward and walked into the forest. But before he could walk far, a strong light suddenly shone from afar. Boom! It was the nature energy. It instantly filled the miasma area. Without the black rose, the miasma was no match for the nature energy. In the blink of an eye, half of it was purified. Yen Chuan's expression changed. He reached out and grabbed the Jade Emperor sword from the ground. He hugged Meow and looked around solemnly. Rumble! A huge force enveloped Yen Chuan. Meow? What's going on? Meow exclaimed. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yen Chuan and Meng Rongrong were suddenly pulled up from the ground by a huge force. Apart from Meng Rongrong, there were also many Confucian cultivators around. In the distance, the entrance to the world of light opened again. Everyone was abruptly pulled out by a tremendous force, all sent out of the light world. Bam! Bam! 60 Confucian cultivators, along with Yen Chuan and Meng Rongrong, fell into the 100 Sages' righteousness altar. Where are my books? Where are my books? A few Confucian cultivators exclaimed. A few Confucian cultivators kept vomiting water. This was especially true for Confucian Chen Ping. His stomach had swelled up, and he was on the verge of death. Junior brother Chen Ping? What happened to him? Lu Zilu asked in a low voice. Chen Ping can't swim, Wang Long said with an ugly expression. Can't swim? How did you get water all over your bodies? Did you all fall into the river? Lu Zilu asked in a low voice. Yeah. Wang Long nodded, conflicted. Lu Zilu. At the 100 Sages' righteousness altar, a large number of Confucian cultivators were standing guard. Yui glared at them. World of Light at the entrance of the Hall of Light. Chapter 532. Meng Lingtian looked at Meng Ziqiu coldly. So many people? Meng Ziqiu, what did you do? Meng Lingtian said coldly. Great-grandfather, I was careless. Meng Ziqiu said bitterly. I've already thrown them all out. I don't want there to be a next time. Meng Lingtian said. Yes, there won't be a next time. Meng Ziqiu said immediately. There won't be a next time? Look at the Julu Academy now. What have you done to it? Meng Lingtian said coldly. Meng Ziqiu didn't dare to say anything. Pick a few smart ones among the descendants of the Academy Masters. I'll reopen the entrance to the World of Light in a month. Let them in. I'll teach them well. Meng Lingtian said coldly. Yes. Meng Ziqiu said bitterly. At the 100 Saints' altar of righteousness. Meow, why won't you let us go? Meow shouted at the Confucian scholar blocking the way. Lu Zilu and the others also wanted to leave, but Louis shook his head and refused. At this moment, Meng Ziqiu suddenly stepped out of the world of light. Whoosh! The entrance to the world of light suddenly closed. Meng Ziqiu looked at everyone and finally said, "Let them go." "Yes," the Confucian scholars answered. Yan Chuan glanced at Meng Ziqiu and stepped out with the others. As for Meng Rongrong, she walked at the front. After leaving the plaza, Meng Rongrong quickly flew away. Seeing Meng Rongrong leave, Yan Chuan sighed softly. "Miao? What did you and Meng Rongrong do in there?" Miao asked curiously. Yan Chuan shook his head and didn't say anything. "Did you do something indecent?" Miao's eyes suddenly lit up. "Yan Chuan, wasn't it? Did she do something indecent to you?" Miao's eyes lit up even more. Slap. Yan Chuan slapped Miao's head. "If you talk nonsense again, I'll deduct your spirit stones," Yan Chuan said. "Miao, did I speak? I didn't say anything." Miao feigned ignorance. Yan Chuan smiled. Half a month later. East Hall. Heavens, I'm such an intelligent person, yet I still have to study. Dongfang Jingpai's cries could be heard from Dongfang Hall. Yan Chuan walked out of the hall curiously. "Yan Chuan, I'm running away. You can stay in the East Palace Hall by yourself. Do you have any spirit stones? Give me some. It'll last me for a while. It's fine if you don't have spirit stones. Give me some of your words and I'll go sell them." Dongfang Jingpai ran over and said, "What's going on?" Yan Chuan asked doubtfully. "How would I know? The headmaster came to talk to me and told me to go to a senior's place to further my studies. Do I still need to further my studies?" Dongfang Jingpai replied. "Study further?" Yan Chuan was surprised. "Yeah, right, there are a few more. The dean said that his daughter, Meng Rongrong, will be there too," Dongfang Jingpai said. "Quick, I have to leave. If I don't leave now, I won't have another chance in the future," Dongfang Jingpai said anxiously. At this moment, 6 figures in white suddenly flew over from afar. It was Old Yen and the others. "Why are you guys here?" Dongfang Jingpai asked curiously. "The dean said that he was worried that you would run away, so he asked us to accompany you," Old Yen said with a smile. Dongfang Jingpai. A month passed in the blink of an eye. The Eastern Orthodox faction was about to embark on a path of darkness. His face was full of frustration. Yan Chuan sent him out of the East Hall, holding a jade box in his hand. "Help me give this jade box to Meng Rongrong." Yan Chuan took a deep breath and said, Dongfang Jingpai looked at Yan Chuan strangely. "Just leave it to her. You don't have to say anything," Yan Chuan said. "Don't tell me that you and Meng Rongrong are really having an affair? The Tiger Tribe's encampment last time." Dongfang Jingpai was instantly interested. Scram! Yan Chuan kicked Dongfang Jingpai's butt. Dongfang Jingpai hugged the jade box and felt slightly better. He followed Old Yen and the others and slowly flew away. Chapter 533. Time passed quickly. There were only 10 days left before the Heaven's Gift Conference. More and more experts gathered in Julu City. The Julu Academy had become the center of attention in the Centennial Heaven's Gift Conference. There were many experts and even a large number of Emptiness Realm experts. The entire Julu City was filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. The East Hall. The hall was wide open. Miao was resting lazily on a small tea chair. Yan Chuan was chatting with a short-haired girl while drinking tea at a small table in the center of the hall. The short-haired girl was dressed in a tight suit. She had a fierce and heroic aura. It was the Emperor, whom he had not seen for many years. "When I came here, I saw sword aura lingering outside the East Hall. Did you set up a formation?" the Emperor asked while sipping his tea. "The Heaven's Gift Conference is approaching. More and more Emptiness Realm experts are gathering here. I have to guard against accidents. You have good eyesight. You can see the formation outside." Yan Chuan smiled while sipping his tea. "I've been here for 3 days. Rumor has it that you want to fight for the god's investiture strategy? The emperor asked. That's right. Why do you want it? Yan Chuan asked curiously. I want the Tian Su, the emperor said. Oh. Yan Chuan was surprised. My saber can sense your sword. Does that mean that your sword has a sword spirit? The emperor looked at the Jade Emperor's sword on Yan Chuan's back. That's right. Since it has a sword spirit, it is not in the rank 9 realm. It seems that you have had a fortuitous encounter in the past few years. The emperor nodded and sighed. How's the investigation of your father's incident? Yan Chuan asked. There are some clues. The emperor shook his head and did not want to say more. I've sorted out some information from 6,000 years ago. I'll give it to you later. As for whether it's useful, you can see for yourself. Yan Chuan took a deep breath and said, Thank you. The emperor nodded. His eyes softened. He came here to ask Yan Chuan to help him collect some information. After all, Yan Chuan had stayed in Jilu City for 2 years. Jilu City definitely had the most historical information. Who would have thought that Yan Chuan was already prepared? The emperor didn't like to talk too much. He just drank his tea quietly. You fought for Tian Su because you wanted to establish a sect? Yan Chuan asked. Something like that. However, I don't like to build. I'll establish a sect and take in 12 disciples. That's all I need to do to fulfill my father's final wish. The emperor said indifferently. 12 apostles? Who knows how many saber cultivators wish to be able to learn under Saber Demon? Yan Chuan said with a smile. The emperor's expression remained indifferent as he continued to drink his tea. Yan Chuan knew that this was not because the empress looked down on him, but because of her personality. Moreover, up until now, Yan Chuan had never seen the empress smile. While the two of them were drinking tea, the clouds and mist outside suddenly swayed. The Saintess is here. Qing Long's excited voice came from outside the hall. Qing Long and Bai Long immediately ran to the square. Yan Chuan's expression changed. He stood up and walked out of the hall. The emperor looked at Yan Chuan. There was no dissatisfaction in his eyes. This was his personality. There was no need to be too polite. Yan Chuan walked out of the hall. 10 figures landed on the square. Mou Shi, Rosefinch, Xuanwu, Mr. Monroe, Gu Yu Holy Sun, and 5 unfamiliar faces. Gu Yu Holy Sun? Yan Chuan's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. Why was he here? Greetings, Saintess. Qing Long and Bai Long said respectfully. Mou Shi nodded and turned to look at Yan Chuan. Seeing Yan Chuan, Mou Shi smiled gently. This smile seemed to be filled with endless longing. Chapter 534. Although he didn't know why Gu Yu Holy Sun was here, Yan Chuan looked at Mou Shi and gave her a trusting smile. This smile touched Mou Shi's eyes, and she slowly walked over. Meow, Sister Mo is here? Meow had woken up and jumped over. Meow. Mou Shi's eyes were filled with joy. She flipped her hand, and a small 7-colored stone fragment appeared in her palm. The stone fragment was very small, but it emitted a powerful aura. Meow. Meow's eyes instantly became heart-shaped. This is an immortal stone fragment I obtained by chance. Do you like it? Mou Shi smiled. Meow, I like it. That's great, that's great. Sister Mo is the prettiest. Meow's mouth was instantly filled with joy. Immortal stone fragment? Saintess Yu Shi, this is an immortal item bestowed by the Holy Master. How can you give it to a little cat? Gu Yu Holy Sun said in a low voice. Cat your sister. You're the cat. Meow. Meow immediately shouted angrily. Evil creature, what did you say? A bearded expert behind Gu Yu Holy Sun suddenly glared, and a powerful aura surged out. Mou Shi's face darkened. She waved her hand, and a powerful aura pushed back the expert's aura. Chang San, you have no right to speak here. Mou Shi glared. The bearded man called Chang San glared at Mou Shi and took a deep breath. Yes. Mou she turned to Gu Yu Holy Sun and said, Gu Yu Holy Sun, the immortal stone fragment is mine. You have no right to decide what to do with it. Also, Miao is not a cat. She's a tiger. Miao. Miao said arrogantly. Tiger? Gu Yu Holy Sun did not get angry. Instead, he smiled mysteriously. Prince Yen, long time no see. Mr. Monroe smiled. Mr. Monroe, I've been waiting for a long time. Yen Chuan also smiled. Yen Chuan, something happened when we went back to invite Mr. Monroe. Mou she took a deep breath and said. Actually, when Yen Chuan saw Gu Yu Holy Sun, he knew that things were not as simple as they seemed. I asked Mr. Monroe for help, but somehow, Mohina Dojin found out about it. Mou she said. Yen Chuan frowned. Mohina Dojin? Why was it him again? That's right. When my father found out about this, he decided to help you. He sent the 4 strongest people in the Dazhao Holy Land. When Ru'a is in charge of painting. This is the Qin King, this is the Chess King, and this is the Book King. They were all sent by my father to help you. You should thank my father. Gu Yu Holy Sun said calmly. Greetings, Prince Yen. 3 men in scholarly robes walked out from behind Gu Yu Holy Sun. They looked at Yen Chuan arrogantly. Qin King, Chess King, Book King? Qin King? Chess King? Book King? Yen Chuan looked at the 3 of them with disdain. As the saying goes, a full bottle does not move when half the bottle is shaken. The 3 of them were below him, yet they claimed to be the kings of their respective fields? They were inexplicably looked down upon by Yen Chuan. Ha 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 ha, there's no need. Mr. Monroe is enough. I've already prepared for the Qin King, Chess King, and Book King. Yen Chuan shook his head and smiled. You've prepared? Who are they? Are they better than the Qin King and the rest? Gu Yu Holy Sun raised his eyebrows. Seeing Gu Yu Holy Sun's expression, Yen Chuan immediately felt that something was amiss. Mohina Dojin sent people to help him? He wasn't familiar with Mohina Dojin at all. He must have some other motive. You'll know when you see them. Yen Chuan smiled calmly. Chapter 535. Mr. Wang, someone is doubting your Guqin skills. Yen Chuan laughed. As he spoke, the door of the side hall opened. Spider King stepped out and walked towards Yen Chuan. It's you. Gu Yu Holy Sun's eyes turned cold. Gu Yu Holy Sun, how have you been? Which one of you is the Qin Emperor? If your Guqin skills are better than mine, I would like to learn from you. Spider King laughed. On the other side, the Qin Emperor revealed an awkward expression. Ha ha ha, it's you? Did you improve again after our Guqin duel last time? Spider King is looking forward to it. Spider King laughed. The Qin Emperor took a deep breath and sighed. Holy Sun, I'm no match for Spider King. Gu Yu Holy Sun's eyes flashed. However, his expression remained calm as he said, Who would have thought? Yen Chuan? You're good to have invited Spider King. Yen Chuan appreciates Mohina Dojin's kindness. May I know why Gu Yu Holy Sun has come to Jilu City? Yen Chuan laughed. At this moment, Yen Chuan was no longer as cautious as before. Instead, he faced Gu Yu Holy Sun calmly and even spoke in a condescending tone. Gu Yu Holy Sun was unhappy. How could this ant-like person not be afraid of him? Afraid? How could Yen Chuan be afraid of someone who had tried to kill him several times? Mou she said, besides Mr. Monroe, the Qin Emperor, the Chess Emperor, and the Book Emperor, Chang San and Chang Si are also here to help Gu Yu Holy Sun fight for the Tiansu. Fight for the Tiansu? Yen Chuan narrowed his eyes. Why is Mohina Dojin fighting for the Tiansu? Chang San and Chang Si? And the Qin Emperor, the Chess Emperor, and the Book Emperor? Are you trying to steal my investiture of the god strategy? Although he didn't know why Mohina Dojin was doing this, Yen Chuan instantly became vigilant. This time, I'm in charge of fighting for Tian-Su, but I can't treat the investiture of the gods lightly. There are still 10 days. Listen to my arrangements, Gu Yu Holy Sun said lightly. As soon as Gu Yu Holy Sun spoke, Qin Long, Bai Long, Spider King, and Yi Feng's faces darkened. She raised her eyebrows. She did not expect Gu Yu Holy Sun to be so overbearing. He wanted to seize power as soon as he arrived. The fight for the investiture of the gods was Yan Chuan's business. Gu Yu Holy Sun wanted to interfere. Miao. Miao glared at him. Obviously, it was not happy with Gu Yu Holy Sun. You? Yan Chuan sneered. That's right. I've participated in the Heaven's Gift Conference, so I know most of the procedures. I have my ways to deal with the experts from all sides. I'll make the arrangements. Just listen to me, Gu Yu Holy Sun said in a low voice. Chong San, Chong Si, Qin King, Chess King, and Book King all nodded, as if it was a matter of course. Who do you think you are? Yan Chuan said coldly. Who do you think you are? Chong San and the others were still in a daze after Yan Chuan's words. Yan Chuan said to Holy Sun, Who do you think you are? The square in the East Hall suddenly fell silent. She was originally angry with Gu Yu Holy Sun, but after hearing Yan Chuan's words, she felt relieved. Determination flashed in her eyes, and she looked coldly at Gu Yu Holy Sun with Yan Chuan. The atmosphere in the square suddenly became tense. What did you just say? Gu Yu Holy Sun's eyes turned cold. Yan Chuan dared to challenge his authority? He was only in the Qi state. Did he have a death wish? Miao, Yan Chuan said. Who do you think you are? Miao jumped onto Yan Chuan's shoulder and threatened Gu Yu Holy Sun. Gu Yu Holy Sun glared at him. No matter how well-mannered he was, he could not hold it in any more. You want me to listen to you? Do you think you're worthy? Yan Chuan said coldly again. Chapter 536. You want me to listen to you? Are you worthy? Yan Chuan said coldly. Are you worthy? Surprise flashed across Mr. Wenrua's eyes. Chong San, Chong Si, Qin King, Chess King, and Book King were in disbelief. Was this kid tired of living? How dare he talk to Gu Yu Holy Sun like that? The four of them looked at Yan Chuan as if they were looking at a dead man. Gu Yu Holy Sun's eyes flashed coldly. A powerful aura was released towards Yan Chuan. Was he trying to challenge his authority again and again? A powerful aura was released. The floor beneath Gu Yu Holy Sun's feet cracked under the pressure and moved towards Yan Chuan. The powerful aura of a middle void stage expert was released towards Yan Chuan. When She saw this, her face immediately sank. Gu Yu, don't you dare! She glared at him. A powerful aura was released. She's aura was tangible. It was like a huge black phoenix shadow was crashing towards Gu Yu Holy Sun. Boom! The two auras collided. Gu Yu Holy Sun's face changed. He looked at She coldly. She, are you trying to go against Mohina Dojin's orders? Gu Yu Holy Sun asked in a serious tone. Mohina Dojin did not say anything to me. She said coldly. Yan Chuan held She's hand gently. She turned her head in confusion. Yan Chuan smiled and pulled She behind him. I have my reasons for saying that he's unworthy. Just watch. Yan Chuan's smile was like the light of dawn on the snowy ground, incomparably radiant. Seeing this, She unconsciously nodded her head, but a trace of curiosity flashed in her eyes. Where did Yan Chuan get his confidence from? In She's eyes, Yan Chuan's cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds. Although he had reached the 5th stage of the Qi Jing realm, he was still in the Qi Jing realm. Although he was a little worried, he still nodded and gave way to Yan Chuan. After handing Miao to She, Yan Chuan turned to look at Gu Yu Holy Sun. Taking a step forward, Yan Chuan blocked Yifeng, Wang Spider, She and the others behind him. One person coldly looked at Gu Yu, one person facing Gu Yu. Behind him, Yi Feng and the others looked at Yan Chuan worriedly and respectfully. They also looked at Gu Yu as if they were facing a common enemy. Only Wang Spider squinted his eyes, and a trace of complexity flashed across his eyes. Because Wang Spider saw the demeanor of a king from Yan Chuan. The demeanor of a man who could hold back 10,000 men. This was the unique charisma of a leader. It wasn't aura or power, it was just a feeling. Wang Spider saw it from Yao Tianshang. Now, he saw it again from Yan Chuan. This was a unique charisma that came from a person's immense confidence. Wang Spider was worried. He wanted to recommend Yan Chuan to Yao Tianshang, but could Yan Chuan really be recommended? Yan Chuan stepped forward and looked at Gu Yu coldly. Gu Yu was shocked when he saw Yan Chuan pull Mo Yushi away. Qi state? How dare someone in the Qi state talk back to him? You are not welcome here, except for Mr. Monroe. Take your people and get out of the East Palace. Yan Chuan said in a low voice. Kid, do you want to die? Chong San shouted angrily again. Yan Chuan's eyes turned cold and a murderous aura shot out from his eyes. Chong San, who was walking towards Yan Chuan, suddenly shivered as if he was frozen by Yan Chuan's glare. Yan Chuan, this is not up to you. You have to listen to my father whether you want to or not. Gu Yu Holy Son said coldly. Chapter 537. With that, Gu Yu Holy Son's aura pressed down on Yan Chuan once again. On the ground, the cracks on the floor became even more pronounced. Crack, 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 crack. Gu Yu Holy Son wanted to teach Yan Chuan an unforgettable lesson. Screech! The Jade Emperor sword on Yan Chuan's back suddenly chimed. Swish! The Jade Emperor sword suddenly flew out by itself. The sword faced Gu Yu Holy Son. Suddenly, a huge black sword aura appeared and slashed towards Gu Yu Holy Son. Gu Yu Holy Son's expression changed as he slapped his palm towards the sword aura. Boom! The sword and palm collided. The Jade Emperor's sword suddenly soared into the sky. It stood firmly in the air as if it was floating. Everyone looked at the Jade Emperor's sword in the air in shock, including Gu Yu. Buzz! The Jade Emperor's sword suddenly vibrated. Tens of thousands of sword auras emerged from the white clouds around the Eastern Palace's floating island. The sword auras were like torrential rain as they rolled over. The sky was filled with sword shadows. Rumble! In an instant, the Eastern Palace was enveloped by the sword auras. From afar, it looked like a huge storm had enveloped the Eastern Palace. Countless cultivators looked up at the sky and looked in the direction of the Eastern Palace in shock. Rumble! Inside the Eastern Palace's square, there were also countless sword auras. Around Yan Chuan, Mo Yushi, and Gu Yu, there were surging sword auras. The endless sword auras pointed towards Yan Chuan as if they were worshipping Yan Chuan. The endless sword auras bowed towards Yan Chuan 3 times before they suddenly slashed towards Gu Yu. What is that? Gu Yu said with a gloomy face. Boom! The storm-like sword chi came from all directions and headed straight for Gu Yu Holy Son. You're courting death! Gu Yu shouted as he raised a huge wall of chi. Boom! 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 Tens of thousands of white sword chi instantly pierced the Holy Son's chi wall, wave after wave. 10 pitch-black swords suddenly emerged from the ground. Like the sword of the Jade Emperor, they instantly pierced through the air wall and headed straight for Gu Yu Holy Son. Boom! Gu Yu Holy Son slammed his palm down and collided with the 10 black swords. The huge force instantly sent Gu Yu Holy Son flying into the sky. Shing! 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 The white sword chi immediately turned into black sword chi. In an instant, billions of Jade Emperor's swords appeared around the Eastern Hall. They were aimed at Gu Yu Holy Son with a bloodthirsty killing intent. SSSS. 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 His terrifying speed and enormous strength cut Gu Yu Holy Son's wall of air again and again like 1,000 knives cutting it into pieces. No. Bastard! How is that possible? Gu Yu Holy Sun screamed. The Qi wall of the Middle Emptiness realm was actually cut apart by the sword Qi of 1,000 cuts? Furthermore, the Jade Emperor's sword shadow was like a swarm of locusts. It was getting closer and closer to him. Gu Yu Holy Sun flipped his hand and took out a long sword. Suddenly, he activated thousands of sword Qis and shot them towards the Jade Emperor's sword Qis. The Jade Emperor's sword Qi was no weaker than Gu Yu Holy Sun's sword Qi. Rumble! Wave after wave, the Jade Emperor's sword Qi violently washed over Gu Yu Holy Sun. In the blink of an eye, it was right in front of him. Roar! When had Gu Yu Holy Sun ever experienced such a dangerous situation? As he roared, the aura around him erupted like a huge explosion. Boom! A huge amount of Jade Emperor's sword Qi flew out. However, even more sword Qi instantly closed in on Gu Yu Holy Sun like a swarm of locusts. Sss, 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 sss. Gu Yu Holy Sun's hair was messed up and his clothes were riddled with holes. Chapter 538. Boom! Thousands of sword Qi retreated 10 feet away from Gu Yu Holy Sun and aimed at Gu Yu Holy Sun. Standing in the air, Gu Yu Holy Sun looked pathetic. The sword Qi lined up like an army and faced Gu Yu Holy Sun coldly. How is this possible? Chang San and Chang Si exclaimed. Yan Chuan stood with his hands behind his back, and Gu Yu Holy Sun looked pathetic. The ancient moon Saint Child's hair was messy as he looked at Yan Chuan in disbelief. At the same time, he looked at the pitch-black Jade Emperor sword Qi around him. Sword array? You can set up a sword array? How is this possible? Your sword has a sword spirit? Gu Yu Holy Sun exclaimed as he looked at Yan Chuan. You know about sword arrays too? Yan Chuan asked calmly. Impossible. Why would a sword spirit listen to you? Sword array? Gu Yu Holy Sun still did not believe Lin Fan. Jade Emperor, chase them out. Yan Chuan ordered. Buzz! In the huge sword storm, a sword chime suddenly sounded, as if it was commanding the thousands of sword Qi. Rumble! Countless sword Qi surged towards Gu Yu Holy Sun like a raging river. Rumble! Gu Yu Holy Sun tried to defend himself, but the sword array was too powerful. Gu Yu Holy Sun was sent flying and forced out of the East Hall. Do you still want me to invite you out? Yan Chuan looked at Chang San and the others coldly. Chang San and Chang San's hearts raced. Qi state? Is this guy in the Qi state? Let's go! Chang San shouted. Boom! Under the pressure of the sword Qi, the 5 of them were forced out of the sword array. Rumble! Sword Qi surrounded the East Hall. Gu Yu Holy Sun and the other 3 were forced out of the sword array. Even after they came out, they still felt like they were dreaming. Buzz! Tens of thousands of sword Qi suddenly exploded, instantly scattering in all directions and disappearing. In midair, the real Jade King sword danced for a while. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Yan Chuan. It flew into the sheath on Yan Chuan's back as though it had never come out. A sword spirit? Was it an immortal sword? Immortal sword array? No wonder. Chang San said with an ugly expression. How could Yan Chuan be so lucky to obtain an immortal sword? In this way, once the immortal sword appears and the sword formation is set up, even intermediate illusionary stage cultivators will not be able to harm him. Chang Si said with a complicated expression. Not necessarily. As long as you have a good magic treasure, you can still break the sword formation. What a pity! Chang San said with a conflicted expression. Gu Yu Holy Sun stood in the air and stared coldly at Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan, not killing you back then was the biggest mistake of my life. Gu Yu Holy Sun said with a chilling tone. Yan Chuan looked at Gu Yu Holy Sun and said with disdain, the son of a Taoist lord doesn't have a magic treasure? Ha! Yan Chuan's ha was extremely harsh to Gu Yu's ears. Magic treasure? None of his magic treasures could compare to that black sword? The son of a Taoist lord? Thinking about the magic treasures of the other sons of Taoist lords, Gu Yu Holy's son felt an inexplicable hatred for his father. If his father had given him a magic treasure, he would not have been humiliated today. The East Palace does not welcome you. Come again when you can break my Jade King sword formation. Yan Chuan said lightly. Jade King sword formation? Just you wait. Gu Yu Holy's son said with resentment. Let's go. Gu Yu Holy's son instantly flew into the distance. The 5 experts followed closely behind, and in the blink of an eye, they left with the ancient Moon Holy Child. Jade King sword? When did it become so powerful? She looked at the black sword on Yan Chuan's back in surprise. Yan Chuan turned his head and smiled. It's not that simple. I have already set up a formation around here to prevent the Emptiness Realm cultivators from attacking. I thought I wouldn't need it, but I didn't expect it to come in handy today. I see. Mr. Monroe exclaimed. Chapter 539. Just arrived. Yan Chuan looked at Emoyushi. You've already mentioned this place in your letter, so we naturally rushed over. We've just arrived. Emoyushi nodded. Prince Yen, the sword formation just now was really powerful, Rose Finch said excitedly. At this time, the Emperor walked out of the East Hall. The Emperor's sudden appearance surprised everyone. They all looked at the Emperor. It's her. Rose Finch and Xuanwu's expressions changed. They still remembered how fierce the Empress was last time. Jade Emperor's sword formation? It's a pity that your cultivation is too low. Otherwise, you wouldn't need the assistance of the formation at all. The Emperor said lightly. Yan Chuan smiled and did not refute. Rose Finch, Xuanwu, and the others revealed strange expressions. Where do I live? The Emperor asked. Yi Feng, bring His Majesty to the side chamber. Yan Chuan looked at Yi Feng. Yes. Yi Feng nodded. She looked at Emperor in surprise. In the end, she didn't ask anything. Mr. Monroe looked at Emperor curiously. Mr. Monroe, please come in. Yan Chuan said with a smile. All right. When Ruan nodded, Yan Chuan and She looked at each other and smiled. They did not exchange any pleasantries and walked towards the East Hall together. Spider King looked at Yan Chuan with a complicated expression. He shook his head and returned to his side chamber. Qing Long, Bai Long, Rose Finch, and Xuanwu were waiting outside the hall. Meow, Sister Emo, do you have any more of these immortal stone shards? Meow whispered to Emoyushi. Meow, you're too greedy. Yan Chuan's face stiffened. Meow, I was just asking. I didn't say I wanted it. Meow felt wronged. I still have one, but it's not with me. If you like it, I'll give it to you in the future. Emoyushi said. Meow, Sister Emo is the best. Meow's eyes lit up. All these years in Jilu City, I've learned a lot about Mr. Monroe. Yan Chuan is very grateful that Mr. Monroe is willing to help me. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Prince Yen, you flatter me. I'm just an abandoned student who was expelled from the academy. When Ruo said bitterly. Abandoned disciple? Haha, on the contrary, I think Mr. Monroe is a genuine person. He didn't hesitate to leave Jilu Academy and go to the Dazhao Holy Land. Yan Chuan took a deep breath and sighed. When Ruo smiled bitterly and said, Let's not talk about this. Prince Yen, 2 years ago in Jilu City, he fought a group of Confucians with his literary skills. It shocked the world. Even from 1,000,000 miles away, I could feel his literary skills. The news spread that fast? Yan Chuan was surprised. The Heavenly Bestowment Conference is about to begin. Jilu City has already become the focal point of the East. News of any major event will spread to the world. With hundreds of beautiful essays, young Master Yan's name has already spread across the world. Mr. Wenruo said with certainty. Spread across the world? Haha, Mr. Monroe, you flatter me. Yen Chuan shook his head and smiled. But, Mr. Monroe frowned. What? Prince Yen, you better not look down on Sima Yuntian because of that literary battle. His disciples can't represent Sima Yuntian, Mr. Monroe said seriously. Prince Yen, what do you think of my painting? Wenruo asked. Although I haven't seen your painting, a lot of information from Julu Academy shows that Mr. Monroe's painting is unparalleled. Once he paints, he moves the world. He paints the world, Yen Chuan said seriously. Indeed. When my father was still alive, he also admired Mr. Monroe. He said that Mr. Monroe was born for painting. Mou she nodded. Wenruo smiled bitterly and said, Perhaps the saint and Prince Yen don't know. My first teacher was Sima Yuntian. Chapter 540. Oh! Yen Chuan narrowed his eyes. This was the first time Yen Chuan had heard of this. Sima Yuntian. I haven't seen him for hundreds of years. He's really a genius. He's good at music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. If Prince Yen hadn't competed with him, I'm sure he would have gotten the investiture of the gods. Wenruo said confidently. How can you be so sure? Then tell me, what kind of person is this great sage Sima Yuntian? Yen Chuan asked solemnly. Yen Chuan had been prepared for this, and he had felt that victory was within his grasp. But now, he didn't expect Mr. Monroe to praise Sima Yuntian so much. Sima Yuntian, Ao. Mr. Monroe said. Ao. I don't know why, but there's a rule in the Julu Academy. The Sima family can't be the head of the academy. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't become the head of the academy. Sima Yuntian didn't feel good about it, so he gave up the position and traveled the world. I still remember what he said before he left. Mr. Monroe recalled. What did he say? He said that when he returned, he would defeat all the heroes of the Julu Academy. Mr. Monroe said solemnly. That's interesting. Yen Chuan's eyes flashed with anticipation. Anyway, Prince Yen, you have to be careful. Since I've promised the saint, I'll do my best. Mr. Monroe said with a bitter smile. From Mr. Monroe's tone, Yen Chuan could tell that something was wrong. It was as if Mr. Monroe didn't believe that he could win. He didn't believe that he could win? Sima Yuntian? Was he really that powerful? Thank you. Yen Chuan nodded. Julu City, on a huge floating island. On the floating island there was a large hall. The Hall of Sima. Lu Zilu, Chun Ping, Wang Long, and a group of scholars stood on both sides. There was a total of 72 white-robed Confucians. Their expressions were extremely respectful as they faced a man sitting on a chair in the north of the Sima Hall. A middle-aged man in a green robe with a tall hat on his head appeared to be around 40 years old. He had a handsome face and a small mustache on his chin. His eyebrows were sharp like swords and his eyes were sharp. His hands were placed on the armrests and the middle finger of his right hand was gently tapping the armrest. The middle-aged man looked at the center of the hall. There were a total of 60 chess sets and 101 calligraphy scrolls. Great scholar Lu Zilu stepped out of the ranks and said respectfully, Teacher, these are all copied by us. At the pinnacle of the literary gathering, we have embarrassed teacher. The azure-robed man was Grand Paragon Sima Yuntian. With a wave of his hand, a feather fan appeared in his palm. Mr. Monroe also had one, but Mr. Monroe's feather fan was white, while Sima Yuntian's was green, as if it was made of peacock feathers. Good writing. Good poem. Good poem. Sima Yuntian suddenly laughed. Sima Yuntian didn't blame his disciple. Instead, he felt like he had seen a hunter. At this moment, another great scholar stepped out and said, Teacher, I have also seen these poems. 101 pieces, 101 styles. It's really incredible. Sima Yuntian nodded and didn't object. Teacher, will this person be an obstacle to teacher? Lu Zilu asked worriedly. Sima Yuntian smiled and said, Just these poems are not enough. There's no need to worry. Yes. All the great scholars were overjoyed. Teacher, I have also memorized these 60 chess sets. When the time comes, I will not disappoint teacher. Another disciple said respectfully. Chapter 541. Sima Yuntian looked at the 60 chessboards. His eyes flashed with admiration. Teacher, is the place we entered really called the World of Light? You knew about it before? Lu Zilu asked curiously. Yes, I knew about it long ago, but I never went in. It's a pity. Sima Yuntian said lightly. Oh. Lu Zilu did not say anything else. Go and prepare. Sima Yuntian said lightly. Yes. The disciples nodded. Then, they all left the hall. Sima Yuntian was the only one left in the hall. He sat in the hall and looked at Jilu Mountain outside the hall. I, Sima Yuntian, am back. I mean what I say. The God investiture strategy? I don't just want the God investiture strategy. I want justice for my Sima family. Sima Yuntian's eyes shone. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. The Heavenly Bestowment Conference was about to begin. East Hall. A large number of Confucian cultivators had already gathered outside the hall. Yan Chuan did not know most of these Confucian cultivators. They came of their own accord. After the peak literary meeting, Yan Chuan's name had spread throughout Jilu City. He was worshipped by thousands of Confucian cultivators. These Confucian cultivators were convinced by Yan Chuan's literary talent. They came of their own accord with blind worship. It was not to befriend Yan Chuan, but to witness a new miracle today. Yan Chuan, Mo Yushi, Emperor, Yi Feng, Wang Zhu, Qing Long, and the others came out of the East Hall and were greeted by a large number of Confucian cultivators. Greetings, Mr. Yan, Mr. Yi. The Confucian cultivators said. Yan Chuan looked at the Confucian cultivators and nodded. He stepped forward and led everyone to the venue of the Heavenly Bestowment Conference. Thousands of Confucian cultivators followed behind and rushed to the Heavenly Bestowment Square. The so-called Heavenly Bestowment Square was actually the square outside the 100 Saints' Altar of Righteousness. The registration in the past was at the God Investiture Hall there. Yan Chuan and his group were followed by thousands of Confucian cultivators. On the other side, Sima Yuntian straightened his long robe and flew towards the Heaven's Gift Square with his 72 disciples. Just like Yan Chuan, behind Sima Yuntian were tens of thousands of Confucian cultivators. Today there were countless practitioners, but most of them were in small group. In the entire Jilu city, only Yan Chuan and Sima Yuntian could gather such a large group of scholars. If one were to look down at Jilu city from above, they would realize that Yan Chuan and Sima Yuntian were like the moon surrounded by stars. They were the two brightest pearls in the city. It was as if the Heaven's Gift Conference was held solely for these two bright pearls. On the way to the Heaven's Gift Square, more and more people gathered. The group grew larger and larger. On the Heaven's Gift Square, Meng Ziqiu and the others had not yet arrived, but there were already countless experts from various sects gathered there. Especially at the entrance of the main hall, the ancient Yu Holy Child and his 5 subordinates were looking coldly at the crowd in the distance. Seeing that one of the groups was led by Yan Chuan, Gu Yu Holy Son's face darkened. There were already more than 8,000 people gathered in the square. They were all sects competing for the Tian Su. A gathering of more than 8,000 people was rare in the past Heaven's Gift Conferences. The Heaven's Gift Conference was a competition for the Tian Su and the God's Bestowment strategy. But in the past, only the Tian Su was the main character. A gathering of more than 8,000 people was very spectacular. Previously, they did not think much of the competition for the God's Bestowment strategy. After all, there were only 2 people. How big of a scene could it be? However, the vast group in front of them petrified the cultivators of the countless sections. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? There are more than 30,000 people on Yan Chuan's side? Sima Yuntian's side also has more than 30,000 people? So many people? What are they doing? Competing for the god's bestowment strategy. This momentum is too exaggerated. The scene of 60 to 70,000 people suddenly paled in comparison to the grand scene of the Tians. The difference was almost 10 times. Chapter 542. The World of Radiance. In a small forest, the beautiful sound of a zither echoed through the forest. A large number of birds had appeared in the forest. The birds circled the forest and danced in the air. Ding! The sound of the zither suddenly stopped. Chirp, 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 chirp. The birds scattered in all directions. There was an exquisite house in the forest. Outside the house, Meng Rongrong, dressed in white, hugged her zither and sighed. She turned her head and looked at a jade box on a stone table. Looking at the jade box, Meng Rongrong could not help but tear up. She grabbed the jade box and wanted to open it, but she could not do so. Should she open it? Perhaps if she opened it, it would mean that she had given in and forgiven that bastard. No, I will never forgive you, bastard, bastard. Wiping her tears, Meng Rongrong let go of the jade box, but she did not open it. Instead, she kept the jade box. After keeping the jade box, Meng Rongrong looked up at the sky with a disappointed expression. Sigh. After packing up her zither, Meng Rongrong carried it back to her house. At the peak of a mountain not far away, two people stood at the peak of the mountain, Dongfang Zhengpai and Meng Lingtian. The two of them watched as Meng Rongrong entered the house. Dongfang Zhengpai, what was in the jade box? Meng Lingtian asked. How would I know? Old Meng, no, teacher, how many times have you asked me? How would I know? Dongfang Zhengpai said gloomily. You were the one who gave me the jade box, who else should I ask? Meng Lingtian said. I really don't know. Why don't you expel me from the sect and let me out? The Heavenly Bestowment Conference has already begun and you won't let me watch. Dongfang Zhengpai complained. Meng Lingtian looked at Dongfang Zhengpai. Dongfang booby, how did you have a descendant like you? Meng Lingtian asked with a strange expression. That's just how I am. Isn't it good to live a carefree life? Isn't it tiring to think so much every day? Teacher, I think you should just leave me to fend for myself. In any case, I'm useless. Dongfang Zhengpai said expectantly. Humph. Even if you're trash, I'll still educate you into a rock. Otherwise, how would I explain it to the founding ancestor when I arrive at the immortal dimension? You give up on this thought. Among this group of people, if you don't reach number 1, you can forget about going out forever. Meng Lingtian said in a solemn voice. Heavens, how can you do this? That Meng Rongrong is your grandchild. You should take care of her. Why are you staring at me? Dongfang Zhengpai lamented. Humph, Meng Rongrong doesn't need me to worry. She only needs to look at that jade box once, and her zither Dao will improve once. Don't you feel it? The sound of the zither just now was not deliberate at all, but it was full of vitality, like a flock of birds gathering. Meng Lingtian stroked his beard and smiled with satisfaction. Every time I look at the jade box, I can level up once. Damn, why didn't Yan Chuan give me a jade box? Dongfang Zhengpai was speechless. Scoundrel, cultivating the way of the sage, you actually spout such filthy words. Go back and copy the words of the sage 100 times. Meng Lingtian said coldly. Heavens! It's too dark. Dongfang Zhengpai cried. You actually dare to say that my teaching is dark? Copy it 200 times. Meng Lingtian shouted. No! Dongfang Zhengpai's miserable voice came from the radiant world. Heaven's Gift Square. Yan Chuan arrived at the Heaven's Gift Square with more than 30,000 Confucian cultivators. Similarly, on the other side, Sima Yuntian also arrived at the square with more than 30,000 Confucian cultivators. Chapter 543. From afar, Yan Chuan saw Sima Yuntian, and Sima Yuntian also saw Yan Chuan. The rules of the Heaven's Gift Square forbade flying, so everyone naturally landed on the square. Far away, Yan Chuan and Sima Yuntian suddenly stopped in the middle of the plaza. The two of them faced each other and looked at each other from a distance. The 70,000 Confucian cultivators all held their breath. Looking at the two hot favorites for the God's Bestowment Scroll, their eyes were filled with anticipation. The competition for the God's Bestowment Scroll had yet to begin, so would the two start fighting? This was also the first time Yan Chuan sized up Sima Yuntian. In an instant, Yan Chuan's gaze shifted to Sima Yuntian's eyes. Those were a pair of extremely bright eyes, filled with a sense of wisdom, and at the same time, a sense of arrogance that ignored everything. Yan Chuan's eyes flashed, as if he thought of something, and smiled meaningfully. As for Sima Yuntian, it was unknown what he thought of, but he also smiled meaningfully. The two looked at each other and smiled, then ignored each other and walked deeper into the square. The 70,000 Confucian cultivators were at a loss. The first confrontation between the two was over? Was this a confrontation? A mutual smile? Experts are indeed different. Yeah, maybe they already fought just now, but you and I couldn't see it. They're both people with great wisdom. How could you see it? Around Gu Yu Holy Sun, there was a burst of discussion. Yan Chuan and Sima Yuntian looked at each other and smiled brightly. In Gu Yu Holy Sun's ears, he felt uncomfortable. The ants that should be crawling under his feet were now being praised by everyone? He was the Holy Son of the Holy Land, someone whose status was equal to the Julu Academy's president, but he was ignored like this? Taking a deep breath, Gu Yu Holy Sun suppressed the irritation in his heart. This time, his father had given him a mission. He could not afford to make any more mistakes. At this moment, a large number of Julu Academy disciples rushed out from the mouth of the mountain on the 100 Saints' righteousness altar. The fog around the mouth of the mountain slowly dissipated. One could vaguely see Meng Ziqiu, Yue, and 5 white-robed elders bowing respectfully to Goddess Xichen in the 100 Saints' righteousness altar. After 3 bows, the 7 of them turned around and looked at the Heaven's Gift Square. Mo Yushi explained. Meng Ziqiu, Yue, and those 5 old men are all virtuous paragons of the Julu Academy. They usually don't care about the administration of the academy and are probably traveling around. They only came back for the conference. Virtuous paragons? Yan Chuan looked at the 7 and gently nodded his head. Meng Ziqiu was at the front with the 6 paragons behind him. They walked to the edge of the mountain and looked at the tens of thousands of people in the square. Meng Ziqiu took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "The Heavenly Bestowment Conference has officially begun. Please send a token to the heavens. Please, Tianzi." Yes. The group of Confucians shouted. Then, the Confucians in the Sky Hall and the God Bestowment Hall respectfully took out tokens. In the God Bestowment Hall, there were 2 tokens with Yan Chuan and Sima Yuntian written on them. In the Sky Hall, there were many tokens. A total of 800 tokens with 800 names were taken out, representing 800 sections. The tokens were sent to the 100 Saints' righteousness altar and to the feet of Goddess Xichen. At this moment, 2 white altars appeared under Goddess Xichen's feet. They looked like 2 huge pieces of white jade floating in the air. One of them had the word God Bestowment written on it, while the other had the word Heaven written on it. Yan Chuan and Sima Yuntian's tokens went up to the God Bestowment altar. The other 800 went up to the rooftop. Meng Ziqiu flicked his robe and looked at Goddess Xichen's statue. The entire Heaven's Gift Square was silent. Everyone was looking at Meng Ziqiu. Today, the successor of the Julu Academy, Meng Ziqiu, kowtows to Goddess Xichen and the heavens. 100 years have passed in a hurry. The world is blessed and prosperous. With my life token as a witness, I ask the heavens for a reward. I hope the heavens will reward me and make the world prosper. Meng Ziqiu shouted. After that, golden light suddenly shot out from Meng Ziqiu's body and into the sea of providence. Roar! 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 Above the Sea of Providence, the 5 golden dragons of Providence suddenly roared and shot into the sky. Then, 2 of the 5 golden dragons of Luck suddenly swooped down. Their roars were mixed with a strong sense of excitement. Roar! Roar! The 2 dragons rushed down and opened their mouths to bite the god bestowment altar and the rooftop. With the 2 altars in their mouths, they flew toward Goddess Shichen's statue with more than 800 names and slowly rose into the sky. Boom! They rushed through the Sea of Providence and continued to soar into the sky. Boom! 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 For a moment, the distant sky was filled with lightning and thunder. Countless bolts of lightning kept striking the 2 dragons. Their bodies gradually faded, but they continued to soar into the sky. They broke through the layers of thunderclouds and soared into the sky until they couldn't be seen anymore. Pray to the heavens! Pray to the heavens! Meng Ziqiu shouted. On the Heaven's Gift Square, almost everyone bowed respectfully to Goddess Shichen, including Yan Chuan and Sima Yuntian. Everyone was silently waiting. About 2 hours later. Boom! There was a sudden explosion in the sky. The sound was so loud that it seemed to resound through the entire world. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 weak golden dragons fell from the sky. They were the golden dragons of Providence from before. The 2 golden dragons of Providence were extremely illusory, as if they were about to dissipate. Boom! The 2 dragons fell into the Sea of Providence. Whoosh! A large amount of providence gathered toward the 2 dragons. The 2 dragons fell asleep, exhausted. Boom! Boom! 2 beams of golden light fell from the sky and crashed into the Sea of Providence. Roar! 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 The remaining 3 golden dragons of Providence circled around the 2 beams of golden light. The golden light gradually condensed into 2 huge scrolls. On the scrolls were the words Heaven and Investiture of the Gods. Hum! Hum! The 2 scrolls were connected to the power of the Sea of Providence. Suddenly, 802 beams of light shot down, instantly enveloping the 802 people below. Yan Chuan, Sima Yuntian, and a large number of people who had participated in the battle for the Tiansu. Boom! The endless dark clouds in the sky dispersed. Apart from the 2 scrolls in the Sea of Providence, the world was bright as if nothing had happened. Heaven's Gift, Tiansu, and Investiture of the Gods. The Julu Academy will arbitrate. Everyone, let's decide who the Tiansu belongs to. Meng Ziqiu shouted. Boom! The Heaven's Gift Square trembled. Then, a huge square platform that was 100 feet wide and 10 feet tall slowly protruded. Above the Sea of Providence, a large amount of golden light shone, illuminating the huge platform. Goddess Shichen, please bear witness. The battle for the Tiansu begins. Meng Ziqiu said respectfully. Chapter 544. Jilu City. Heaven's Gift Square. The golden light of Providence illuminated the huge arena below. The surroundings of the arena seemed to have formed a huge cover, preventing too much of the impact from leaking out. 2 peerless experts were fighting on the arena. Both of them cultivated their physical bodies and fought with their fists. Boom! 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 Their powerful fists collided with each other, creating a deafening boom. Those who ascended the ring were practically all lower void stage powerhouses. Its might was also extremely vast. One could see the forceful twisting of the air within. If it were not for the barrier formed by the Sea of Providence clouds covering the arena, it would definitely have spread to the surroundings. Guyu Holy Sun sat on a chair with 5 subordinates standing behind him. Among them, Chang 3 and Chang 4 were enveloped in a golden light. It was obvious that Chang 3 and Chang 4 had signed up to compete for the Tiansu. Chang-san, what do you think? Guyu Holy Sun asked calmly. Holy Sun, don't worry. Chang-si and I have both reached the late stage of the inferior emptiness stage. we will definitely obtain the final victory. Chang San said solemnly. Gu Yu Holy Sun said in a deep voice, don't let your guard down. 800 people, almost all of them are in the lower void realm. You guys are definitely not the only ones who have reached the late stage of the lower void realm. Yes, let them fight first. When everyone is exhausted, Chang Si and I will join in. Chang San nodded. Holy Sun, don't worry. I'm here to assist Chang San this time. I'll definitely help Chang San win to the end. Chang Si said solemnly. Gu Yu Holy Sun nodded in satisfaction. Father purposely expelled all of you from the Dazhao Holy Land for today. Once we obtain the Tian Su, all of you will once again become perfected beings of the Dazhao Holy Land. Furthermore, all of you will be allocated the same resources as me, perfected lords. Yes, we will definitely win the Tian Su. Chang San said excitedly. Gu Yu Holy Sun nodded and turned to look coldly at Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan was also enveloped in a golden light, but it was the golden light of the God Bestowment Scroll. However, a short-haired lady behind him was enveloped in the golden light of the Tian Su. Do you see that lady? Gu Yu Holy Sun said. HM? Chang San and Chang Si were puzzled. When the time comes, kill him. Gu Yu Holy Sun said coldly. You Holy Son of the Holy Son of the Holy Land. The Emperor's 5 Emptiness Scroll. The Holy Sun Emperors of the Heavens. Perhaps the Emperor's senses were too strong. He instantly sensed the killing intent directed at him, and turned his head. Of the Holy Land of you of the Tian Land of the Holy Land. The Emperor's look was even more contemptuous than that of Yan Chuan. Gu Yu Holy Sun was enraged. You are just an immortal state warrior. How dare you? Gu Yu Holy Sun's eyes flashed coldly. The murderous look in his eyes intensified. However, the Emperor was no longer looking at him. It was as if he was a nobody. Gu Yu Holy Sun was frustrated by the Emperor's attitude. Bastard! Gu Yu Holy Sun crushed the armrest of his chair in anger. Boom! There was a loud noise in the arena. One of the fighters spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. He had lost. Buzz. The golden light that enveloped him suddenly shifted to the winner. Tian Su had announced the result. I lost. The man who fell to the ground said bitterly. Humph. The winner did not give up and kicked the loser's leg with a loud bang. Crack. Chapter 545. The loser's leg was broken by the kick. Ha 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 ha, who told you to hurt me? I'll break your leg and teach you a lesson. The winner roared. Meng Ziqiu frowned and said, Fierce barbarian, he has already admitted defeat. Why do you have to kill him? Meng Ziqiu, I respect you as the Dean of Jilu Academy, but the arena is our battlefield. I'll kill you if I want to. Fierce barbarian shouted. Meng Ziqiu raised his eyebrows and took a deep breath. He didn't say anything because he knew that those who fought from the beginning would rarely make it to the end. Fierce barbarian was so arrogant that there must be other experts who would teach him a lesson. Okay, fierce barbarian wins. Who else? Meng Ziqiu shouted. Meng Ziqiu's shout made many cultivators consider. After all, it was just the beginning. Only those hotheads would fight so early. At this time, Empress, who was next to Yan Chuan, suddenly took a step forward. Mou, she said in surprise. Don't worry about her. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Okay. Mou, she nodded. Empress stepped forward. Because the battle had begun, the arena was empty. Empress stepped forward and immediately attracted everyone's attention. Especially when she stepped out next to Yan Chuan. Sima Yuntian, Meng Ziqiu, and the others were curious. Fighter Empress. A Confucian cultivator who was in charge of recording immediately announced Empress's name. Empress stepped onto the arena. Empress? Countless cultivators around guessed who she was. Ha ha ha, little girl, your thighs are not even half as thick as my arms. You want to fight me? Fierce Barbarian laughed. Little girl, what's your cultivation now? Fierce Barbarian laughed evilly. God realm, Empress said indifferently. God realm? Ha ha ha, you're only in the God realm? Although you're a little cold, I like this kind of woman. Fierce Barbarian suddenly laughed. Get down now and I'll spare your life, Empress said coldly. Spare my life? A little God realm cultivator? How about I let you use one hand and one foot? Fierce Barbarian stepped forward. Countless experts around them all looked at Empress pitifully. It's over. A God realm cultivator dares to step onto the arena? She came with Yan Chuan? It doesn't matter who he comes with. That fierce barbarian is too fierce. Yeah, what a pity. Meng Man walked over proudly as people were talking about him. You've already lost your chance. The Emperor raised his head and narrowed his eyes. Shing. There was a sound of a knife and a green light flashed. Meng Man, who was walking forward, suddenly stopped in his place. His eyes were full of disbelief. Boom! The head of the fierce barbarian suddenly fell to the ground. Blood spurted 3 feet high from his neck. Golyalu! The fierce barbarian's head rolled to the side. All the cultivators in the surroundings suddenly fell silent. Wasn't this too fast? If they hadn't seen the bronze saber in the Emperor's hand, no one would have believed that the saber attack just now was actually the Emperor's. The square was completely silent. After 5 breaths of time, it was as if a pot had exploded. Impossible, she can't be in the divine realm. Meng Man was careless? It must be. She sneaked an attack. Am I dreaming? There was a lot of noise around, but Meng Ziqiu saw clearly that the Emperor was indeed in the divine realm. Only in the divine realm? However, this was too exaggerated. How could he kill someone who was at a higher level than him so cleanly? Meng Ziqiu suddenly had a feeling, and a figure suddenly flashed in his mind. Yen Tao. Yes, Yen Tao. 100 years ago, Yen Tao also killed people in this arena with his divine realm cultivation. He won the Tian Su in one fell swoop, and the name of Blood Demon spread all over the world. Chapter 546. Was the Empress in front of them the same? Moreover, she came with Yan Chuan? Buzz. The golden light that was originally gathered on Barbarian Meng suddenly gathered on the Empress. The Empress has won. Who else wants to fight? Meng Ziqiu shouted. Meng Ziqiu's shout made the experts believe the truth in front of them. Fight? Who's going to fight now? For a moment, the crowd was silent again. The Empress looked around and suddenly focused on Gu Yu Holy Sun. Who wanted to kill me just now? Come on. The Empress said lightly. The Empress's words immediately attracted everyone's attention to Gu Yu Holy Sun. Gu Yu Holy Sun? Is she provoking Gu Yu Holy Sun? Suddenly, someone was surprised. Gu Yu Holy Sun narrowed his eyes. Chong San and Chong Si narrowed their eyes, full of murderous intent. They clenched their fists and looked at Gu Yu Holy Sun, waiting for Gu Yu Holy Sun's order. What's wrong? Are you afraid now? Come on up together. The Empress said lightly. The Empress's indifferent tone had a huge impact. Many people knew Chong San and Chong Si. They were at the advanced stage of the lower void realm. Was this woman crazy? She was just lucky just now. Now she wanted to compete with Chong San and Chong Si? She even wanted to fight 1 against 2? She's crazy. This Empress is sick in the head. Even if she wants to die, she shouldn't have come here. The crowd didn't believe the Empress, but Gu Yu Holy Sun couldn't sit back and do nothing. Chong Si, you go. Gu Yu Holy Sun said lightly. Yes. I'll take this crazy man's head. Chong Si nodded. Buzz. Chong Si took out a long saber and stepped on the high platform. Show me what you're capable of. How dare you challenge me? Chong Si's eyes were cold. Whoosh. The Empress's speed reached a terrifying level. In just a moment, a black shadow shot toward Chong Si like a sharp arrow. Screech. Bam. The sound of the long saber cutting through the wind and the sound of blood gushing out could be heard. The Emperor stopped behind Chang'e. Golyalu. Chang'e's head rolled to the ground. Clean and nimble, even cleaner and nimbler than before, too fast. Killed with a single strike. SSSS. 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 Gasps could be heard all around. Chang'e. Chang'e suddenly roared. Chang'e and Chang'e were blood brothers. How could their younger brother die in the blink of an eye? Chang'e was too careless. Guyu Holy Sun's face darkened. Guyu Holy Sun could see the Emperor's speed clearly, but Chang'e could not. In the blink of an eye, his head rolled to the ground. Xing. Chang'e raised his saber and his eyes were bloodshot. He was about to take his revenge on the arena. Chang'e. Guyu Holy Sun shouted coldly. Holy Sun, she killed my brother. Chang'e Jiaohu said. Stop right there. Guyu Holy Sun shouted. After being shouted at by Guyu Holy Sun, Chang'e calmed down a lot. No matter how unwilling he was, he could only listen angrily. He stood behind Guyu Holy Sun and looked at the Emperor on the arena with murderous eyes. The golden light around the Emperor deepened again. Emperor, who else wants to fight? Meng Ziqiu frowned and shouted. After Meng Ziqiu shouted, the crowd fell silent again. Many people did not know the Emperor well. Just now, 2 lower void stage experts had died in a daze? The strong cultivators fell silent or started to discuss. The Emperor stood on the arena and looked around. Seeing that no one was coming up, a trace of contempt flashed in his eyes. Come up together, the Emperor said indifferently. For a moment, the square was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. Some cultivators could not believe what they had just heard and dug their ears. Senior brother, did you hear that? What did the Emperor say? A cultivator looked at the cultivator beside him and asked. The Emperor said, Come up together. Another cultivator said with a strange expression. Ah, did I hear wrongly? The Emperor's words were like a challenge to the 800 Emptiness Realm experts. He was challenging all the strong cultivators. Come up together? Come up together. Come up together. Chapter 547. Transin Tian Su, come at me together. Arrogant. Incomparably arrogant. The Heaven's Gift Square was in an uproar. There was only one person who was making noise, the Emperor who was standing in the arena. A woman in the immortal state. She dared to say such arrogant words after killing 2 lower void realm cultivators. Come at me together? She was looking down on the 800 cultivators who were fighting for the Tian Su. She was looking down on them. Meng Ziqiu frowned and looked at the Emperor. Was the woman in front of him too murderous? No, it was more like she didn't care about these opponents at all. She just wanted to get the Tian Su as soon as possible. Sima Yuntian sat on a chair at the side. A disciple served him tea respectfully. Sima Yuntian sipped the tea and looked at the Emperor on the arena with narrowed eyes. Then, Sima Yuntian looked at Yan Chuan who was not far away. Will the Emperor be in danger? Mou, she asked worriedly. Don't worry. Yan Chuan shook his head. Although the Emperor was only in the immortal state, he had inherited the legacy of the most powerful man in the world 10,000 years ago. His father, the Knife Demon, was even a powerful immortal. It would be strange if the Emperor was defeated here. Yes. Mou, she nodded. At the Guyu Holy Sun's place. You're courting death. Chang'e looked at the Emperor coldly. The Emperor looked coldly at the crowd and said, I won't kill those who admit defeat. If you want to die, come at me. Damn it, I'm being looked down on by a little girl? Arrogant girl, you're courting death. Humph, you can live with your sins, but you can't live with your sins. Suddenly, 10 lower void realm cultivators stepped on the arena. Each of them held their own weapons and surrounded the Emperor. Even though they were bullying the weak with numbers, the 10 experts didn't dare to be careless. The 2 lower void stage experts who died just now were examples. Moreover, all the lower void stage experts understood that when the Emperor killed them, he didn't just chop off their heads, he also destroyed their primordial spirit. 2 lower void realm cultivators were killed cleanly and cleanly. Kill! 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 The 10 cultivators rushed at the Emperor almost at the same time. The Emperor's eyes turned cold as he stomped his foot. Boom! A vast amount of saber chi instantly erupted from the arena. Millions of saber chi seemed to come from the ground and soared into the sky. It was like a great river flowing against the heavens. The cold saber chi instantly caused the temperature of the entire Heaven's Gift Plaza to drop by a lot. Rumble! Surging saber chi soared into the sky, instantly enveloping the 10 experts. From the outside, one could not see the figure inside at all. One could only see the vast and mighty saber chi soaring into the sky. His saber sea? What a terrifying sea of sabers! Is it from the Emperor? Is she really in the God realm? The crowd was filled with astonishment. Guyu Holy Sun's expression changed. This sea of knives was too similar to the Jade Emperor's sword formation that he had humiliated 10 days ago. However, one was a knife and the other was a sword. Guyu Holy Sun's expression darkened as he looked at Yan Chuan, who was not far away. Yan Chuan's expression remained indifferent, as if it was a matter of course. The tens of thousands of cultivators in the surroundings all watched in shock. Bam! The vast sea of knives disappeared from the plaza in an instant. The Emperor's short hair swayed slightly as he stood in the center of the plaza and looked around coldly. Pung! 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 10 heads rolled on the ground again. Blood spurted from their necks. The 10 experts all fell to the ground. The Heaven's Gift Plaza fell into silence again. Meng Ziqiu also looked at the Emperor with a blank face at this moment. Chapter 548. How many Heavenly Gifts conferences had they been through? Even Yen Tao wasn't as exaggerated as this. Was this killing? Was this harvesting? All the golden light gathered toward the Emperor. The Emperor stood on the arena, looking extremely dazzling. He glanced around coldly. Those who admit defeat can live. The Emperor looked down at the audience and said, "Those who admit defeat can live?" At this moment, no one dared to criticize the Emperor anymore. His terrifying killing speed was simply cheating. How could they compete like this? Standing on the square, the crowd couldn't calm down for a long time. The Emperor's gaze fell on a cultivator. I admit defeat," the cultivator said with difficulty. But when he said that, he felt a burst of joy in his heart. The golden light instantly withdrew from the cultivator and gathered toward the Emperor. The first person admitted defeat. Next, the surrenders were like a plague, starting from the first person and quickly spreading in all directions. The Emperor's gaze landed on all the people who admitted defeat. "I admit defeat. I admit defeat. I admit defeat." Meng Ziqiu and Lu Yi looked at each other. "Dean, what's the background of this Emperor? He's even more exaggerated than Yen Tao." Lu Yi said bitterly. "I'm not sure. Yen Tao, Yen Chuan, and the Emperor, these people are all strange." Meng Ziqiu sighed slightly. In the blink of an eye, there were nearly 500 people who admitted defeat in the square. But in the end, there were still people who didn't admit defeat. The last Heavenly Gifts conference was Yen Tao, and this time it's the Emperor? When will it be our turn? If we can't get the Tian Su, we won't be able to live until the next Heavenly Gifts conference. Since we're going to die anyway, let's fight together. An old man shouted. Okay. Immediately, hundreds of cultivators jumped into the arena. The Emperor's eyes turned cold. With a flip of his hand, the Emperor took out a golden pill. As soon as the pill was taken out, a refreshing fragrance could be smelled even below the arena. A quasi-immortal pill? Meng Ziqiu's expression changed. You said that's a quasi-immortal pill? The best pill below the immortal pills? Louis said in surprise. That's right, but why is she taking the medicinal pills? Meng Ziqiu asked, puzzled. The Emperor swallowed the quasi-immortal pill and looked coldly at the 100 peerless experts. 100 lower void realm experts surrounded the Emperor. 1 against 100? The spectating cultivators all had expectant expressions. It was unknown whether they were anticipating the Emperor's victory or the Emperor's defeat. Guyu Holy Sun narrowed his eyes and stared at the Emperor. 100 lower void realm cultivators besieging him? Even he would be in a difficult situation. Emperor? He was dead meat. Boom! Just like before, the violent saber chi once again enveloped the entire arena. The surging saber chi soared into the sky and enveloped everyone on the arena in the blink of an eye. Roar! Kill this girl! Let's attack together! Quick! Rumble! Within the storm of blade energy, the roars of hundreds of emptiness realm experts could be heard. Then, the rumbling sounds of battle could be heard. Emperors were strong, but there was a limit to it. After all, their cultivation was limited. It was impossible to kill 100 lower void realm cultivators as easily as before. Rumble! Fierce battle sounds could be heard from the storm of blade energy. Just as everyone was looking forward to it, a large number of black clouds suddenly gathered above the Sea of Providence. Rumble! The black clouds gathered, and countless lightning flashed in the black clouds. A vast heavenly might pressed down on the arena below. 49 heavenly tribulations? Someone suddenly exclaimed. Someone is going through the 49 heavenly tribulations on the arena? 49 heavenly tribulations are for those in the consummate stage of the God realm. The God realm cultivator on the arena seems to be. Chapter 549. The Sovereign? Is she crazy? Why is she undergoing the tribulation at this time? Is the Sovereign undergoing the tribulation? Amidst the exclamations of countless cultivators, hundreds of lightning bolts descended from the sky, heading straight for the arena. Rumble! On the arena, lightning bolts and saber chi mixed together. The entire arena seemed to have exploded. Looking from afar, it was extremely resplendent. The surrounding cultivators looked at this scene in horror. Is the Sovereign trying to drag everyone down with her? No, I admit defeat. A scream came from the arena. However, the Sovereign did not answer him. The huge impact was still coming from the arena. Rumble! After an entire incense stick's worth of time, suddenly, everyone saw that in the storm of saber chi, there seemed to be a vast azure saber chi that was 300 meters wide and 3,000 meters long. 1. As soon as the vast azure saber chi appeared, killing intent spread out. The surrounding air immediately turned cold in the killing intent. Snowflakes drifted down. The azure saber chi soared into the sky, rushed through the luck cloud sea, and headed straight for the tribulation clouds of the 4 and 9 heavenly tribulation. That is? Impossible. People thought of a possibility, but no one was willing to admit it. Everyone's heart seemed to have stopped beating as they stared at the azure saber chi with soaring killing intent in the sky. They did not even blink. It was getting closer and closer to the tribulation cloud. Hong! The vast tribulation clouds of the 4 and 9 heavenly tribulation were cut in half by the azure saber chi. The heavenly tribulation was cut in half? In the square, countless cultivators were dumbfounded as they looked at the tribulation clouds that were cut in half. That was the nightmare of many divine realm cultivators. Only the heavenly tribulation could trample on people. How could they see a person killing a heavenly tribulation? Killing a heavenly tribulation? That was a joke, but it happened in front of everyone. That graceful saber strike was imprinted in everyone's mind. They might not be able to forget it for the rest of their lives. Rumble! The tribulation clouds were cut in half by the azure saber chi, announcing that the tribulation was over. The tribulation clouds slowly dispersed. The heaven's gift square was silent. Even the saber chi storm in the square disappeared. Most people did not notice it. They just looked at the sky in a daze, looking at the disappearing tribulation cloud. Impossible. It's fake. It's fake. The heavenly tribulation can be cut in half. It's fake. It's fake. Many Shioja trembled. Who else wants to come up? A soft shout suddenly came from the dazed square. This soft shout caused many people to quiver and look towards the arena together. Above the battle arena, Huang stood quietly in the center. There were more than 100 corpses on the ground. Golden light shone around Huang. He was like a god overlooking all living things. 1 against 100? The Emperor had won again. Not only did he kill 100 lower emptiness realm cultivators, he even killed the heavenly tribulation? The Emperor looked at a man shrouded in golden light. I admit defeat. That person immediately said. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. At this moment, who dared to doubt the Emperor's ability? Before, he was only at the god layer, but he was already so terrifying. Now, after the 49 heavenly tribulations, he was already at the lower void level. Fight? Fight my ass. If you want to die, then go ahead. Logically speaking, 800 cultivators should have fought for several days and nights, perhaps even more than 10 days. However, at this moment it was going to end in the blink of an eye. Bursts of golden light gathered towards the Emperor. Almost everyone admitted defeat. There was nothing they could do. After all, the person in the arena was a freak. He was too fierce. In the blink of an eye, only Chang San behind Gu Yu Holy Sun was left. Chang San's face twitched. Should he continue? The Emperor slowly looked at Chang San. I will count to 3. The Emperor said coldly, holding his long saber. 1. The Emperor said indifferently. Everyone looked at Gu Yu Holy Sun. Gu Yu Holy Sun's face turned ugly. Holy Sun. Chang San said in a panic. Admit defeat? Gu Yu Holy Sun was still unwilling. His father had finally given him another task. Was he going to mess it up again? 2. The Emperor counted quietly. Holy Sun. Chang San exclaimed. Gu Yu Holy Sun's face was gloomy. He was still unwilling to agree. The Emperor's long saber shook slightly. He was about to speak. I admit defeat, I admit defeat, I admit defeat. Chang San exclaimed. At this moment, he no longer cared about Gu Yu Holy Sun's orders. Whoosh! The golden light retreated from Chang San's body. The last ray of golden light enveloped the Emperor. The Emperor had won. In the battle for Tian Su at the Heavenly Bestowment Conference, the Emperor defeated all the cultivators in the shortest time possible. The Emperor was surrounded by golden light, but Gu Yu Holy Sun's face was extremely dark. It was as if he had been slapped in public. This was not a slap from someone else, but from his own subordinate. It was even more painful than being slapped by others. However, at this moment, only a few people were looking at Gu Yu Holy Sun. Most of them were looking at the Emperor in the center of the arena. The Tian Su above the Sea of Providence in the sky suddenly trembled. Ka ka ka. The Tian Su left the Sea of Providence and slowly flew toward the Emperor. Chapter 550. The Tian Su gradually shrank into a 1-foot-long scroll and fell into the Emperor's hand. The golden light on the Emperor's body also gathered towards the Tian Su. Phew! The Emperor put away the Tian Su, looked around, and stepped down from the arena. Even though the battle for the Tian Su had ended, the Emperor was still the focus of attention in the Heaven's Gift Square. The Emperor slowly walked towards Yan Chuan. Everyone's eyes were also fixed on the Emperor. I'm leaving. See you again. The Emperor said to Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan seemed to have known this and nodded. Okay. The Emperor walked towards a direction and left the Heaven's Gift Square. The Emperor? Who is he? Does he know Yan Chuan? Whose disciple is the Emperor? The crowd was discussing. Stop, you can't leave. Suddenly, a voice sounded. The voice attracted everyone's attention. It was Gu Yu Holy Sun, who squinted his eyes and stared at the Emperor. The Emperor paused and turned to look at Gu Yu Holy Sun. A trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. You can't leave before the end of the Heaven's Gift Conference, Gu Yu Holy Sun said coldly. Yan Chuan squinted his eyes and looked at Gu Yu Holy Sun. Before the end of the Heaven's Gift Conference? Could it be that something big was going to happen? Yan Chuan pondered. The Emperor turned his head and ignored Gu Yu Holy Sun, as if he didn't hear him at all. He continued to walk outside. Phew! Gu Yu Holy Sun appeared in front of the Emperor in a flash. I said you can't leave. Didn't you hear me? Gu Yu Holy Sun's eyes turned cold, and a powerful aura gushed out. The aura of the middle void stage was much stronger than that of the lower void stage. The nearby Xiuzhou were instantly pushed back by this aura. His aura rushed towards the Emperor, but the Emperor did not seem to be affected at all. He walked step by step towards Gu Yu Holy Sun. Ka 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 ka. The floor began to crack under Gu Yu Holy Sun's powerful aura. But the Emperor still walked forward. Step by step, it was as if he was not under any pressure at all. Countless pairs of eyes around revealed looks of surprise. Slowly, the Emperor walked up to Gu Yu Holy Sun. The Emperor's eyes stared at the ancient moon Saint Sun coldly. Boom! It was as if a long knife had pierced through the Emperor's eyes and stabbed into Gu Yu Holy Sun's mind. A powerful will rushed out. The willpower that Gu Yu Holy Sun was so proud of in the past was so weak in front of Huang Heidao's blade-shaped willpower. It was completely destroyed. Boom! Gu Yu Holy Sun's soul trembled violently. His mind was in a mess. After a while, he finally woke up from his fear. But his spirit had withered a lot. Jing Ming's Sun and Moon Attendant. You're the son of the Sun Attendants? You're only at the second level of the middle void stage, and you dare to stop me? If it wasn't for Jing Ming, you would have died 1,000 times. Those who block me die, the Emperor said coldly. Stepping forward, Gu Yu Holy Sun instinctively moved aside. His eyes were filled with shock. The Emperor's terrifying willpower had told him everything. No matter how stupid Gu Yu Holy Sun was, he did not dare to stop the Emperor. He was drenched in cold sweat as he watched the Emperor slowly leave. At this moment, Gu Yu Holy Sun did not have the slightest intention to stop the Emperor. His eyes were filled with shock. A large number of Xiuzhou looked over curiously. Holy Sun? What's going on? Chang San came over and asked in confusion. The Zither Emperor, Chess Emperor, and Book Emperor also came over. Chapter 551. Gu Yu Holy Sun slowly recovered as he watched the Emperor fly into the distance. Everyone was staring at him. The ancient moon saint child suddenly felt uneasy. Previously, he was against the Emperor everywhere, but now it seemed so laughable. Let's go, Gu Yu Holy Sun said in a low voice. They could not stay here any longer. He quickly left the square with the 4 people and Chang Xi's corpse, leaving behind tens of thousands of curious people. Not long after, on a floating island outside the square, Gu Yu Holy Sun and the 4 people looked coldly at the square. Holy Sun, are we letting the Emperor go? Chang San gritted his teeth. Chang San did not know that the Emperor and Gu Yu had already fought. Although he could not do anything to the Emperor, he hoped that Gu Yu Holy Sun could help avenge his brother's death. The Emperor? Gu Yu Holy Sun's face twitched. Gu Yu Holy Sun did not even want to provoke the Emperor. He would leave the Emperor to his father. We still have important matters to attend to. Although we lost Tian Su, we still have the investiture of God's strategy. Gu Yu Holy Sun shook his head. Yes. Chang San nodded unwillingly. Everyone stared at the Heaven's Gift Square again. In the square, the shock brought by the Emperor was slowly digested by the cultivators. The square was also cleaned up. There were 70 to 80,000 cultivators, and 70,000 of them were Confucian cultivators. They were all supporters of Yan Chuan and Sima Yuntian. The shock was quickly replaced by anticipation. Yan Chuan, Sima Yuntian, and Julu Academy's Confucian cultivators. What kind of competition would there be between the three parties? Goddess Ji-Chen, please bear witness. The competition for the investiture of God's strategy begins. Meng Ziqiu shouted again. The square suddenly fell silent. It was still the same arena, but this time it was not a martial battle, but a literary one. On the arena, Yui led 20 Confucian cultivators onto the stage, slowly. Yan Chuan led Spider King, Yi Feng and Mr. Monroe into the arena. Mo Yushi hugged Miao and waited quietly below. Sima Yuntian led his 72 disciples onto the stage. Yan Chuan, Sima Yuntian, and Yu Yi formed a triangle. The literary battle was about to begin, and the Confucian cultivators all held their breaths. The competition for the investiture of the gods is different from the competition for Tiansu. Do you want to win first and then pass the Julu Academy's test, or do you want to pass the test first and then compete? Louis asked with a smile. Yan Chuan and Sima Yuntian looked at each other. Test him first. Let's fight later. Sima Yuntian and Yan Chuan said at the same time. Upon receiving this reply, Louis nodded. Zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. As long as you can beat the 21 people on the stage in 2 of these, you will pass. What do you want to test first? Yui asked. Go. Sima Yuntian said indifferently. Yan Chuan and Lu Yi nodded without any objections. As they stretched out their hands, 2 chessboards slowly appeared on the stage, standing between the 3 of them. Yi Feng. Yan Chuan said indifferently. Yes. Yi Feng nodded. Yi Feng waved his long sleeves and stepped forward. The breeze blew his hair, making him look very free and easy. Mr. E. It's really Mr. E. Waves of excitement came from below the stage. Sima Yuntian looked at one of his disciples, who nodded and stepped forward. The second senior brother of the 72 Confucians? Zhang Shen. The best chess player among Sima Yuntian's disciples. Yui nodded and smiled. I've heard that Mr. Yi's chess skills are amazing. I've been looking forward to it for a long time. Chapter 552. With that, Yu Yi instructed a Confucian scholar to fight Zhang Shun, while he walked to Yifeng's chessboard. Dean Yu is going to fight personally? I heard that Dean Yu is best at the zither and only second in chess. However, he's still a virtuous sage. He's definitely much stronger than those Confucians. Zhang Xin will fight a Confucian scholar, while Mr. Yi will fight a virtuous sage. That's not fair. There were many disgruntled voices below the stage, but the 2 sides had already sat down. Yi Feng was not afraid at all. Instead, he smiled faintly and said, Julu Academy, virtuous sage? Yi Feng has been looking forward to this for many years. After exchanging some pleasantries, Yi Feng began to play his piece. Clap. The 2 games officially entered the state of a chess battle. Countless cultivators below the stage saw the pieces on the stage through their spells and focused. Yan Chuan, who was behind Yi Feng, looked at Sima Yuntian not far away. Sima Yuntian was not paying attention to the chessboard at this moment. Instead, he was looking at the 100 Saints' righteousness altar in the distance, at Meng Ziqiu and the others. Sima Yuntian narrowed his eyes, as if he was thinking about something. In the distance, Meng Ziqiu looked at Mr. Monroe, who was behind Yan Chuan, with a complicated look in his eyes. When Ruo looked at Meng Ziqiu with a pained expression. Father and son looked at each other, but for a moment they were both speechless. Separated by a large number of cultivators, Mr. Monroe bowed solemnly in Meng Zichio's direction. He did not say anything, only bowing. Seeing his son's attitude, Meng Zichio's eyes flashed with bitterness for a moment, and he sighed softly. Smack! 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 The sound of pieces being played continued. Thank you. Zhang Shen was the first to win. He won for Sima Yuntian. Teacher, Zhang Shen reported excitedly. Sima Yuntian nodded, his expression unchanged. Zhang Shen returned to the 72 scholars. Everyone was looking at Yi Feng and Yu Yi. One was Mr. Yi, who had risen to fame 2 years ago and had never tasted defeat. The other was a virtuous paragon of the Julu Academy, the Left Yard's dean. Both of their chess skills had reached the pinnacle. Although it was just the placement of a chess piece without any spells, a whirlwind was generated above the chessboard for no reason, as if it was reflecting the danger on the chessboard. Yifeng placed his chess pieces very quickly. Although his eyes were blurry, his style of playing chess was unusually sharp. It was as if he was sitting on the battlefield, arranging his troops in battle formations. Troops after troops were charging toward Yu Yi. Yu Yi, on the other hand, played the most common style of chess in the world of cultivators. It was as if he was the master of a sect, commanding his disciples to attack one after another. Flowers bloomed in all directions, and his skillful moves came one after another. It was as if the experts of the sect had come out to fight. One side was the army of the empire, and the other side was the disciples of the sections. It was like a competition between an empire and a sect. Either the sect would conquer the empire, or the empire would annihilate the sect. Kill! Roar! I'm invincible! As the chess pieces were placed, Yui seemed to hear a magnificent army charging over. Although there were not many experts in the army on the chessboard, the army was full of vigor, as if the heavens were helping them. Every time the army pressed over, the experts of the sects would be unable to resist. Smack! 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 As the chess pieces continued to be placed, Yu Yi's expression turned increasingly unsightly. Charge straight in, 10,000 arrows fired. Yifeng smiled faintly. Clack! Another black chess piece was placed. Suddenly, the chessboard changed. Yu Yi, who was immersed in the chessboard, seemed to see the magnificent army gathered in front of the sections. With Yi Feng's final chess piece, 10,000 arrows were fired, bombarding the tottering sections. The magnificent army roared and charged into the sections. Everywhere they passed, corpses were strewn everywhere. Everywhere they passed, rivers of blood flowed. The foundations of the sects were instantly flattened by the magnificent army. Clack! The chess piece in Yu Yi's hand was crushed by himself. It collapsed. The Empire's army had already annihilated the sections. All that was left were the scattered remnants. There was no way to continue this game. Yu Yi has learned something. Yu Yi stood up and bowed slightly. Thank you for letting me win. Yifeng smiled and stood up to return the bow. Chapter 553. Mr. E won. Someone shouted from the crowd. Mr. E won. His opponent is a virtuous paragon. Mr. Yi's chess skills are the best I've ever seen. In the square, more and more people worshipped Yi Feng's chess skills. The cheers grew louder and louder. Louis smiled faintly, not minding it at all. After exchanging greetings, the two of them returned to their seats. Zhang Shen and Yi Feng had won. When Louis returned, the 20 Confucian scholars looked at him with a bitter expression. The Julu Academy was the most popular place in the East. How could it be defeated so easily? What else do you want to compete next? Louis asked. Zither, Yan Chuan said. Sima Yuntian nodded without any objection. Yan Chuan looked at Spider King, who nodded solemnly. Zither was different from chess, it had to be played one by one. Spider King stepped forward, took out a zither, and placed it on his knees. Louis looked at Spider King and picked a Confucian scholar. The Confucian scholar also sat cross-legged on the stage, and the two of them began their zither battle. Behind Yan Chuan, Yi Feng frowned. Wang, this Jilu Academy is a little strange. I know, Louis didn't play the zither, which means that the Jilu Academy doesn't care about their losses. Yan Chuan nodded. That means the Jilu Academy is deliberately going easy on him? Yi Feng frowned. A little bit, but in the previous game, he didn't. You have the skill, Yan Chuan said solemnly. And Yi Feng nodded. Mimicking Yan Chuan, he stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the center of the square. Ding 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 ding. The two zither experts played faster and faster, and in the blink of an eye, sound waves appeared in the center of the square. Rumble! A huge sound river suddenly appeared in the middle of the two great zither players. Above the sound river, the sound waves crashed into each other like a torrential river. Although it wasn't as powerful as the Tiger Tribe's encampment the other day, it wasn't too far off. Ding ding ding. A smile gradually appeared on the Spider King's face. On the other hand, the zither player's expression gradually turned ugly, and he found it increasingly strenuous. Big wave. King Spider laughed. Boom. In the Sound River, a huge wave that was 30 meters tall suddenly appeared and rushed towards the other side. Boom. The huge Sound River suddenly exploded, and the entire Heaven's Gift Square was filled with a loud roar. After the explosion, the sound suddenly stopped. Thank you for letting me win. Wang Zhu smiled. The Guqin master got up and nodded. I've heard about it. Mr. Wang's Guqin skills are indeed much better than mine. Who is he? It's only been a while and he actually won? Spider King, you don't know? King Spider? There were many discussions in all directions. The King Spider had already retreated to the front of Yan Chuan. Prince Yan didn't disappoint. King Spider said with a smile. Thank you for your hard work. Yan Chuan nodded. Boom. There was an explosion in the sky. Half of the God Bestowment Scroll that was connected to the Sea of Providence suddenly left the Sea of Providence, as if it was certain that Yan Chuan had won. On the God Bestowment Scroll, the light that shone on Yan Chuan became more and more dazzling. Yan Chuan has passed the Jilu Academy's test, Yue announced. Yan Chuan smiled and nodded. On the other side, another disciple of Sima Yuntian walked out. That's the head of the 72 great scholars, Qin Sei. The audience suddenly recognized him. Sima Yuntian's first disciple? The number one zither player, Qin Sei? Chapter 555. The Jilu Academy Scholars' expressions changed. I said that when I return, I will defeat the Jilu Academy. Today, I, Sima Yuntian, have returned. I will challenge the Jilu Academy in front of everyone. I will use my God Bestowment strategy to take away your Jilu Academy's providence. Sima Yuntian said arrogantly. I will use my God Bestowment strategy to take away your Jilu Academy's providence. Hua! Countless cultivators below the stage started discussing. Take away providence? Take away the Jilu Academy's providence? Although the Jilu Academy was only a mid-tier sect, its status in the East was unshakable. Sima Yuntian wanted the God Bestowment strategy? His ambition wasn't just the God Bestowment strategy, but also the providence? Roar! 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 Above the Sea of Providence, the three golden dragons of Providence suddenly roared at the God Bestowment strategy, as if they felt threatened by the strategy. Literary Battle of Sages. Take away the providence? Furthermore, he was trying to snatch Julu Academy's providence in front of everyone? They didn't come with good intentions. Not only did they not come with good intentions, but with the God bestowment scroll, it was equivalent to having a sect bestowed upon them by the heavens. Julu Academy was also a sect. At this moment, it was equivalent to a battle between two sects. A battle between sects that accumulated good karma was seen on the market, but a battle between sects that cultivated good karma was unique. There wasn't much providence in the God bestowment strategy, but it was still providence. Was this a battle between two sects? Sima Yuntian stepped forward, his battle intent pressing towards Meng Ziqiu. Fight? Don't fight? Yan Chuan, what do you say? Meng Ziqiu suddenly looked at Yan Chuan. The God bestowment strategy had two owners, Sima Yuntian and Yan Chuan. If the two of them hadn't decided who would win, Yan Chuan still had the right to decide. Sima Yuntian turned to look at Yan Chuan, his eyes filled with battle intent. As long as Yan Chuan didn't agree, Sima Yuntian would definitely attack Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan looked at the providence in the sky, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Fighting for my God bestowment strategy? I wish you victory. Yan Chuan smiled faintly. Sima Yuntian also smiled knowingly. Sima Yuntian placed great importance on Yan Chuan, because until now, Sima Yuntian still hadn't seen through Yan Chuan. This was an extraordinary opponent, and Sima Yuntian placed great importance on him. But today, the most important thing was to wash away the humiliation of the Sima clan. Only by defeating the Julu Academy could the humiliation be washed away. Only then would he be able to comfort the spirits of the Sima clan's ancestors in heaven. Meng Ziqiu today, does the Julu Academy dare to accept my, Sima Yuntian's, challenge? Sima Yuntian took a step forward and shouted. The 72 disciples also took a step forward, their eyes filled with excitement. The surrounding Confucian cultivators were also very excited. Challenging the Julu Academy? This was something that hadn't happened in many years. Meng Ziqiu narrowed his eyes and looked at Sima Yuntian. The 5 virtuous paragons behind him all had gloomy expressions. Everyone looked at Meng Ziqiu. In the end, you still can't let it go. Meng Ziqiu sighed. Can't let it go? This is unfair to the Sima clan. Why can't the disciples of the Sima clan compete for the position of Academy Master? Today, I will seek justice for this. I will let everyone in the world be a witness and clear the name of the Sima clan. Sima Yuntian shouted. The Sima clan can't be the master of the Julu Academy. This is an ancient rule. If you can't accept it, then come at me. Meng Ziqiu's eyes became serious. Chapter 556. On the stage of the Heaven's Gift Plaza. Sima Yuntian and Meng Ziqiu each sat on one side of a huge chessboard. Everyone else stood below the stage as they placed their pieces. Yui frowned as he looked into the distance where the paragons of the Julu Academy were gathered. Yui, why is the dean so stubborn? Just one match with Sima Yuntian? A virtuous paragon frowned. That traitor Sima Yuntian dares to challenge our Julu Academy. We must teach him a lesson. Yeah, why don't you let us do it? I know the dean is powerful, but what if he loses? Yui might take over Meng Ziqiu's position after the Heaven's Gift Conference, so Meng Ziqiu had told him many secrets. Everyone, calm down. The dean has his own plans. Yui shook his head. I know Sima Yuntian's ability. We might not be able to win, but as long as the dean doesn't interfere, it won't affect the Julu Academy's fortune. But if the dean loses, our academy's fortune will be greatly damaged. A virtuous paragon said worriedly. Yui looked at the sea of fortune above him. 2 of the golden dragons were still weak because of the Heaven's Gift Conference, while the other 3 golden dragons were roaring with the God bestowment strategy. After a moment of silence, Yui shook his head. Everyone, don't worry about it. There are some secrets of the Academy that you don't know. It's best for the Dean to fight personally. Secrets? What secrets? A group of virtuous paragons frowned. Yui shook his head. If you're willing to give up your freedom and participate in the Julu Academy's administration, you might know. But for now, I'm sorry. The 5 virtuous paragons frowned. Even the virtuous paragons didn't know much about the Julu Academy's secret. They didn't participate in the administration and could only make suggestions. Seeing Meng Ziqiu fight Sima Yuntian, they could only sigh. Rumble. Half of the ground on the stage suddenly shattered. The rubble slowly floated up and began to revolve around the 2 players. 2 people who were at the pinnacle of the art of chess placed their pieces. Righteous chi emanated from them. The mysteries of the game seemed to have seeped into the surrounding rubble along with the righteous chi. The crushed stones turned into bright luminous pearls that revolved around the 2 of them in a mysterious pattern. Thousands upon thousands of crushed stones circled around the 2 of them like meteors. It was as if countless stars were revolving in the starry sky. Countless cultivators in the surroundings used spells as mirrors to look at the chessboard on the arena. Poof! Poof! The Confucian cultivators all felt dizzy, and some even vomited blood. Yifeng, did you see it clearly? Yan Chuan asked in a deep voice. In the end, this subject's vision is still insufficient. I can understand this game of Go, but I need time to understand it. Yifeng sighed. It's very difficult to comprehend it in such a short period of time. It's just like the chess game that His Majesty played with me. Although I worked very hard, my vision as a mortal was limited, and I couldn't see much of it. I had to wait until after the game to slowly comprehend it. I've been constantly broadening my horizons in Julu City for the past 2 years. Now I'll help you comprehend this game of Go. Close your eyes. Yan Chuan said. Yes. Yifeng nodded. Yan Chuan extended his hand, and countless stars appeared in his palm. The stars revolved around his palm as if he was holding a universe in his hand. If one looked carefully, they would discover that the trajectory of the stars in his palm was exactly the same as the rubble around Sima Yuntian and Meng Ziqiu on the stage. Chapter 557. Clap. Yan Chuan placed his hand behind Yifeng's head. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Yifeng's hair suddenly moved without any wind, as if he was thoroughly experiencing the game on the stage. Yan Chuan looked at the stage and imparted all his understanding and analysis to Yifeng. It was only the dismantling of the chessboard and the understanding of it. Yan Chuan's many years of experience naturally made him much more knowledgeable than Yifeng. Yifeng seemed to be in the middle of the chessboard and quickly understood the game played by Meng Ziqiu and Sima Yuntian. Rumble. On the stage, Sima Yuntian grabbed a piece and placed it down. His eyes burned with fighting spirit as he pressed forward step by step. Meng Ziqiu frowned. He continued to place his pieces. More and more nature energy gathered in the surroundings, and the entire arena was dyed white by the nature energy emitted by the 2 of them. Among the tens of thousands of Confucian cultivators in the surroundings, nearly 10,000 of them vomited blood and didn't dare to look any longer. This game was the pinnacle of chess. It rained for 6 whole hours and the sky was already dark. The righteous energy was even more dazzling. Give me justice. Sima Yuntian placed his piece. Clap. Boom. The rubble surrounding the 2 of them suddenly exploded. They exploded in all directions. A gust of wind blew from the chessboard, and Meng Ziqiu's piece was suspended in the air for a long time. The hands of the virtuous paragons in the distance trembled. It's over, a virtuous paragon muttered. Clap. Meng Ziqiu crushed the piece in his hand. He looked up at the fierce-looking Sima Yuntian and sighed. You win. Boom. In the sky there was a sudden explosion. Roar! 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 The 3 golden dragons of providence suddenly let out sorrowful cries. The surging sea of providence suddenly flowed toward the God bestowment strategy. The God bestowment strategy seemed to have a powerful suction force that absorbed the sea of providence. Roar! The golden dragon of providence let out a sorrowful cry as its providence flowed away. The surrounding Confucian cultivators all revealed looks of shock. This, the headmaster lost? Impossible. How could our Julu Academy lose? Why? How could the headmaster lose? The great scholars of the Julu Academy all lamented. The 5 paragons were even more sorrowful. This was the first time in 50,000 years that the Julu Academy's providence had been lost. This was the first time it had been snatched by someone. Ha 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 ha, father, grandfather, ancestors, open your eyes and take a look. I've won. I've made the Julu Academy pay the price. Sima Yuntian suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed. As he laughed, 2 streams of tears unconsciously flowed down his face. After so many years of grievances, he could finally get his revenge. Rumble! With this flow, nearly a quarter of the providence flowed into the God-sealing strategy. Above the sea of providence, even a golden dragon of providence suddenly lost its consciousness and flowed into the God-sealing strategy. Roar! A golden dragon suddenly appeared in the God-sealing strategy. Its consciousness was destroyed, but in the God-sealing strategy, a new consciousness was born. A golden dragon belonging to the God-sealing strategy appeared. The golden dragon circled around the God-sealing strategy and roared into the sky. Roar! The entire Julu city was filled with the excited roar of the golden dragon. The flow of providence stopped. Sima Yuntian had won a quarter of the providence in this game of chess. Countless cultivators looked at this scene in shock. Wasn't this battle of providence a little too easy? Sima Yuntian comforted the spirits of his ancestors. Meng Ziqiu slowly retreated. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.